Christmas. We just heard His Majesty the King there, his first speech as monarch, his first Christmas message as monarch. Inevitably, the most dominating theme was paying tributes to his late mother, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. He recorded that speech actually last week on the 13th of December in St George's Chapel, just meters actually from the Queen's final resting place and her late husband, Prince Philip, as well. He said he cannot thank us enough for our love and sympathy following the death of the Queen, referring there to the cards, to the flowers that have been sent to both His Majesty the King and Queen Consort Camilla as well in the months following her death. He spoke of the Queen's everlasting light and the Queen's faith in God and people, and said, "It's my belief which I share with my whole heart." A sense there, a nod that His Majesty is going to continue continue the service of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Another big theme, I think, was paying tributes to the public sector, the public services, particularly the armed forces, emergency services, who helped out during the national mourning period, yes. But in the months since, he specifically referred to teachers. He referred to emergency services, like I said, which is pretty significant, actually, because clearly in the last month, there's been many public sector strikes. Now, the King did remain incredibly impartial and did not refer to the strikes, clearly, because he is monarch. But the fact he referred specifically to the public sector and thanks them for their work, I think, is quite significant. His Majesty also referred to the cost of living crisis, how many families are really having to choose perhaps between eating and heating their homes, and the communities which are helping those most in need. We understand that His Majesty has made a private donation to a fuel poverty charity over the Christmas period. So it's quite fitting, perhaps, that he mentioned that in his speech. He mentioned the cost of living crisis and those communities that are helping those in need. Now, the King is, of course, head of the Church of England, and Christmas is a Christian celebration fundamentally, and he recorded it, of course, in a church, but he wanted to mention other religions, which he very much did. He mentioned churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, gurdwaras, and making sure perhaps that because he is head of course, in the United Kingdom, it's a multi-faith country, he wanted to make sure that the whole country felt perhaps included in the message of Christmas, particularly that of community, love and support and kindness for each other. But I think the overall riding theme of all of that was selfless dedication, something which His Majesty referred to his mother, the late Queen, very much carrying that on throughout her reign. And I think, Nana, from that speech, it was very much giving us a sense that the King wants to continue his mother's legacy into the future as he continues with his reign.
Oh, it was a lovely speech, wasn't it, Cameron? I mean, the monarchy is such a wonderful institution and really symbolises everything that this country stands for, and we really look forward to seeing how he reigns. Of course, it's just the start of his reign, and then there's the coronation. Do we know anything about that, as to whether it's going to be a big affair or whether it's going to be quite scaled down? Because obviously he was sort of making reference to the fact that he knows that the country is working hard and people are really struggling.
Yeah, there's been lots of rumours about what is or isn't going to be in the coronation. From my understanding, it's going to be a lot shorter than that of Queen Elizabeth II's in 1953. The stuff that is going to be cut out perhaps is seen as too outdated. But it is, from my understanding, yes, that the King very much is aware of the cost of living crisis and people struggling to pay their bills and things like that. But the government certainly, as well as I think the royal household, who are very much taking the lead on organising the coronation, want it to have everything that's great about Britain. So the pomp, the celebrations, the ceremony, the traditions of the crowning, the anointing in Westminster Abbey, the military precision of the parades that's going to happen either side of the service itself, all of that is very much going to stay because they want it to really celebrate Britain on a global stage in this age of King Charles III. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be a slimmed down budget version of a coronation, but there will perhaps be modern twists and also we believe there will be a nod to the fact that there are many different diverse communities living in Great Britain, and the King very much wants to reflect modern Britain in the service. But we'll have to wait and see for the specific details, Nana.
Yeah, we will. I'm very excited for that. Cameron Walker, thank you very much for joining me live. That is Cameron Walker. He's our royal correspondent. A Merry Christmas to all of you. If you just joined me, welcome. I know it's Christmas Day. A lot of you, what are you doing? You're opening presents? Have you got more presents? Are you eating still? You're probably still eating. Well, joining me today, I'm Nana Akua, by the way. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online, and on digital radio. We'll keep you company this afternoon. And joining me today is Keith Prince. He's a Conservative Deputy Chair of the London Assembly, and also author and divorce coach Sarah Davison. You saddos. What are you doing here?
Good question.
No, I love it. No, it's great. No, I love it, though. It's lovely to be part of the panel, but also joining us is political commentator Sam Dowler. Look at him. Hello, Sam.
Oh, love, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you, darling. I wasn't sure whether to go with the scarf, but then I thought, well, it's Christmas, so I might as well. And I love your hat, Sam. Looking fabulous.
Thank you. I'm trying to keep it festive. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. So that is my panel for this afternoon as well, so make sure you join me. So I'm going to start with you, Keith, then. The King's speech, he's got such a soft, warm, kind of nice voice, hasn't he, the King?
Yeah, he has, yeah. I like the reference he made to the extraordinary ability of each individual to give so much. I thought that was very human, and his reference to the different multi-faiths. Mm-hmm. But it's true, you know, we do, in Britain especially, I think we do have that ability to give, and we're very keen on giving. So I thought it's nice of him to reference that.
Some of us give more
and
than
of course
others,
he referenced Matthew 19:19.
That was nice. Did you get any presents?
Yes, I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I got a lamp that charges your phone.
That's quite nice. Sarah, welcome aboard. This is the first time you've ever been on the panel.
Yeah, first time on the panel. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Jacket, by the way.
Thank you.
It's very nice. Very nice. So talk to me about you then. What's going on? You're here for Christmas Day. Did you get any presents?
I did, but actually I did my Christmas last weekend because that's when I had my son for Christmas. So yeah, so I feel like I've done the turkey, done all that, and but yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, and the King's speech. What did you make of it?
I loved it. I think he gave a real strength, a real warmth and compassion, and I think we all need that. I think the Queen's passing made us all very uneasy, and I think having a strong leader now will hopefully give us some peace and a bit more stability.
Mm-mm. Well, I got a present. This is my one present today. It's a candle. I love candles there. And the light. Lovely. No, thank you very much. That is my one present today, which is good.
Oh.
I should go home and unwrap the presents that I wrapped up for myself under the tree.
I do that as well. I do that. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, as a single mum, you have to.
What's in this one? I wonder who bought me that. You did.
Actually, I'm wearing some of mine now. This is what I wrap for myself. Yeah.
That's the thing, though. When I go Christmas shopping, I end up spending more money on myself.
Well, it's not a bad thing, is it?
So when King Charles was talking about giving, I thought, yes, to myself, it was great, it's great. But now, this would be the time when people are sort of sitting around the table now at the family meal, and you're probably looking over at relatives thinking, oh, God, when are you going to go?
Yeah, I think that's quite true, actually. I think, you know, any time where you put everybody together under one roof, there's alcohol, the pressures do increase, obviously. But hopefully people are enjoying their day and they're relaxing and having a bit of a time out from any conflict and just making the most of not working, maybe.
And, of course, enjoying the King's speech as well. It's good, isn't it? The coronation, I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah. What do you think? It's going to be fun. Do you want a big affair for the coronation? Or?
I think it should demonstrate how good we are at doing it. No one does military parades and coronations like England and Britain, so I think we should put on a really good show.
Does anyone else have a king or monarchy?
Well, quite a few countries, actually.
Does they still? Which one? Give me one country.
Well, I think Qatar's got a prince, hasn't it? And Belgium's got a...
Spain.
Well, yes, Spain, yeah. So a few of them are laying around, yeah.
Yeah, hanging about. But look, it's really good to have you both joining me, and of course Sam Dowler. Sam, what did you make of that lovely speech?
Do you know what? I really liked it, and you know, obviously he's had a tough year. He's lost his mum, and he talked about the poignancy of Christmas when you've lost someone. I lost my own father December the 6th last year, so it's like, I mean, that Christmas was a write-off. So this is more of a celebration, and you know, and I loved listening to what Charles said, and obviously, you know, he he had beautiful pictures of Kate and William as well, showing them doing charitable stuff. Blissfully, no mention of any kind of, family politics, which was lovely. Not even like a veiled jibe, which was really good. It was just what people need from the monarchy. It's like when the Queen spoke during the pandemic. It brings people together, and it makes us proud to be British. Which is why I also think that there should be, all the pomp and ceremony around. Of course there is cost of living crisis, but that just means that if you're watching it on TV, it's not going to make any difference to how much food you've got on the table, like to how splendid the coronation is. In fact, you want it to be more splendid so that you can enjoy it more. So I think go for it.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to go for it this afternoon. We'll get a little glass of something here in the studio as well.
Oh, good.
But if you just join me, thank you very much, Sam. Sam will be joining us throughout the show as well, alongside Keith Prince and also Sarah Davidson. You're with me. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. Now, after the break, it's time for the Great British Debate this hour, and I'm asking, should we include vegans in Christmas lunch preparations? I know it sounds a bit cruel, but vegans, look, there's nothing wrong with being a vegan, but another nut roast. Stay with me. Send me your thoughts as ever. Email gbviews@gbnews.uk. Tell me what you think on everything we're discussing. You can also tweet at GBNews. I'll be back in a few moments.
Yeah,
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates.
Do you not believe in prisons?
I don't believe in prisons.
I'm completely stunned.
I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. Clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and tune-in apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Hello, I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m, where I'll be joined by two of the country's top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News Headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
So good afternoon and Merry Christmas. It's just gone 23 minutes past 3 o'clock. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. It is, of course, Christmas Day and lots of you at home will be busy cooking. You'll be doing stuff. Maybe some of you are eating. but are you catering to any special dietary requirements which have made things a bit trickier? In You magazine recently, a reader recently complained about cooking for a vegan. Writing to the magazine, Agony Aunt, she said, "I'm upset with my son, who is in his late 20s, for putting me in a difficult position. He and his girlfriend were due to come for Christmas lunch when she announced that she's a vegan. I'm cooking for 9 and my son doesn't realise the stress of adding extra meals, one that I have to keep separate during preparation." So does she have a point? Do people need to be more accommodating of different dietary needs? I want to hear your thoughts at home. Certainly, are you cooking for a vegan? Nothing wrong with being vegan, by the way, or is there something wrong with it? I don't know. Email me, gbviews@gbnews.uk, or tweet me at GBNews. Could you go vegan this Christmas? Joining me to discuss this subject is Keith Prince and Sarah Davidson, and also joining me at home is Sam Dowler. So what do you think? Veganism. Sam, could you go vegan for Christmas?
No, I couldn't. Obviously that festive. You've got cold meats, hot meats. Like you eat meat literally day to day, and then you just poke it in. But I mean, my little niece who was here for Christmas Day she is vegetarian currently. So we've made her vegetarian piggies in blankets, and she's got a bit of a nut roast. I mean, she's only 11, so hopefully it'll pass. But I mean, I've cooked for. I have other family members who came over from Australia, and I was doing all the cooking at the time, and so it was my nephew's girlfriend, and I cooked vegan chili, vegan spaghetti, etc. And then they went travelling, and she found in Europe she couldn't get decent enough vegan food, so she just went back to normal after I made all that effort.
But vegan chili, isn't chili vegan anyway? And spaghetti, I suppose there might be animal products in spaghetti.
Normally use beef mince, wouldn't you, or pork mince? But you can make it obviously with what's the whole thing? There's so many good alternatives, and I had a vegan burger the other day, and it was delicious. They're doing better all the time. So obviously, the only pain is if you're cooking for a lot of people, it is a bit of a pain to have to keep stuff separate, do this, especially it's just an added pressure, especially when will they appreciate it?
Possibly not. That scenery behind you is lovely. Is there water behind you? What is it? What's behind you? Is there some sort of dock or something?
I'm in North Devon at my mum's house, so it's the river behind us.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's lovely. Isn't that nice? Yeah, well, listen, Sam, stay there because we're talking veganism. Now, Keith, you're a vegetarian.
I am.
Obviously, you're not having Christmas dinner today, or maybe you are.
I am. Later, I am, yeah.
So what goes on then? They don't really have to make too many special...
No, not at all. I have my Yorkshires and my Brussels. Being a vegetarian is not so bad as being a vegan. But I have the Linda McCartney mozzarella burger. That's to absolutely die for.
But that's just cheese. You can have cheese, though, can't you?
Yeah, no, it's cheese and like a plant-based burger as well.
What else is in it? See, what makes me a bit suspicious of this stuff is when they call it a burger, when it's not a burger. I want to know what's in it.
Oh, this is a burger, but it looks like a burger.
Yeah, but what's in it? What have they put in there? Mushrooms?
Mushrooms,
and all the bits to put it together. I'm worried that a lot of this vegan stuff, whilst on the face of it, sounds like a very sensible thing to do. The fact that they've had to get it to congeal together, they've had to put different things in it, not the things that we'd normally put in, which are sort of more natural foods. I think it's a lot of processed, isn't it?
Not really, because it's only plant-based. It's not dead animals and bits of guts of dead animals.
Yeah, but
it's
at least
just
it's
plant-based product.
Like, a gut is a gut. So if I'm going to eat a gut of steak, I know that is a gut that's come from a cow. It's the gut. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
But
sounds delicious.
Yeah, no,
I can't wait to have a gut burger.
Yeah, but I'm up for that. But, But if you're, like something called a burger that isn't a burger, that you put some vegetables in, what else do you put in there? There'll be emulsifiers, stabilisers, all the other bits and pieces. And that's what worries me about the vegan sort of diet.
Well, that's for you to worry about.
But I'm not going to go vegan, so I ain't going to worry about it. Sarah, what about you? Are you vegan, vegetarian?
No, I've tried them all, and I don't really like rules, to be honest. So when I set myself too many rules, like you can't have this, you can't have that, then I end up craving a bacon sandwich or that crispy duck you get in a restaurant. Love it. So I found that if I just sort of 80% of the time stick to no meat, and then like for Christmas, my son likes turkey, and because it's just me and him and my parents, and they're vegetarians, I have a bit of turkey with him, otherwise he's eating it on his own. So I tend to sort of set the rules up to win and just be a bit flexible. And, it's more about health for me, and I feel better when I don't eat a lot of meat, so that's generally what I stick to.
Yeah, I think the general rule is don't eat too much meat. I mean, but don't eat too much of anything. Don't eat too many sweets, don't eat too much fat, don't eat too much salt, don't eat too much sugar. Or just eat too much, actually, today. Because it's Christmas, just eat too much.
Yeah.
Eat everything.
Yeah. But if you're doing like an 80-20, then Christmas Day you can do what you like, because, then you can make up for it another time.
Maybe you could go vegan for a bit and then just break it for Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what people say, well, I'm doing it, but it's going to start tomorrow.
Well, I went vegetarian for 1 week. 38 years later, it's been a very long week.
Why did you go vegetarian? Was there any particular reason?
It was a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Very persuasive.
Yeah.
She was a vegan, said, try it for a week. I went, OK, I'll do it for a week. And 38 years later, here I am.
Have you ever spoken to her again? Do you know whether she's still a vegan or vegetarian?
Yes, she is.
She's still, really?
Yeah.
Does she look good with it?
Don't know, I only spoke to her on the phone.
See, because sometimes when and this is not to say, because, I mean, if you're a vegan and you do it properly and you actually, use proper vegetables and things like that rather than buying the packaged stuff, then a lot of people who are vegan actually look very healthy. But then I had a friend, right? I had one friend, at least one. And I had a friend and he was a vegan. And all he would buy was like sweets and things like that because he said, oh, there's no meat in this, there's no meat in that. So actually, he was eating incredibly unhealthily, but he wasn't eating any meat.
Lots of sweets you can't eat, though. Lots of sweets I can't eat.
There were certain sweets that you just ate rubbish, basically.
Some of my favourite sweets I can't eat.
How far does that go? If you've got someone who's vegan coming for Christmas, do you have to do vegan gifts as well? I mean, do you have to roll it that far, or is it just the food?
Like you might buy them something that's leather. It's like, how could you? Or that candle. Oh, what was it? No, what's in it? You might have to buy vegan clothes and all that. I mean, do you know, the only one, sometimes when I discuss with people who are vegan, and again, like I say, it is a good way to eat if you do it properly. If you do it properly, you understand that the different types of omega-3 and how you have to eat this to get that omegas out of it, and you understand that you're going to be lacking in certain nutrients. So then you take the right supplements. Then that's great. But if you do it wrong, I mean, it could end up with some sort of chronic illness in the end. It's no fun for anyone.
I think you just have to get knowledgeable. If it's something you want to do, then you've got to do it properly, like anything, I suppose.
But what would you do if you're like somewhere? So, for example, do you remember years ago they put people who were very overweight in the middle of this desert? This is a really old show on TV. They were put in the middle of literally nowhere, and they were given very different things to eat. So they'd say, I would never eat this, but then they were given snake and this and that. They said, I don't eat snake, but in the end, obviously, they ate this food. Would you, if you say you're vegan and you're vegetarian, Keith, so just say you're in a situation where it was either eat meat or die?
Well, if it's between me and the cow's gone.
The cow's gone. Well, that was easy. So it's that easy to get you off. You see, that is the thing, isn't it? It's all very well being... And I do sometimes think that this is almost like these are first world problems, I don't eat any meat anymore, I'm not going to... And then you go somewhere where there's no food and you literally have to eat whatever is there otherwise.
Yeah, it's basic survival instinct. And the way I look at it, no animal has to die in order for me to live, so that's fine. But if it's between me and the animal, well, it's a different ballgame, isn't it?
Interesting, yes, how people can change. You've changed, Keith, already. It's so easy. Yeah, but that's the thing. So what about you at home? I mean, is you're preparing the Christmas dinner, or you've probably eaten the Christmas dinner? Was it difficult? And are there lots of different alternatives with regard to a nut roast? Because I thought that's pretty much all there was. But stay with us. We've got loads going on. I've got a special monologue for you at the top of 4 o'clock. If you've just tuned in, it's coming up to 33 minutes after 3 o'clock. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. Don't forget, you can also stream us live on YouTube, so you can watch us anywhere in the world. Now, on the way, we'll be joined by the Queen's former chaplain, Reverend Gavin Ashenden, and we'll continue that great British debate this hour. I'm asking, could you go vegan for Christmas? First, though, let's get your latest news headlines.
Nana, thank you. This is the latest from the GB Newsroom. The King has used his Christmas broadcast to praise individuals, charities and faith groups supporting those in need. He's also sympathised with households struggling with the cost of living crisis, speaking about the great anxiety and hardship people are facing. He also highlighted the selfless dedication of the armed forces and emergency services, calling it a value embodied by the late Queen. Earlier, he attended the royal family's traditional Christmas Day church service in Sandringham. The King and the Queen Consort were joined by the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children. A 26-year-old woman who was killed in a pub in Merseyside on Christmas Eve was not thought to be the target of the attack. Merseyside police say she was celebrating Christmas with friends and family when she was killed. She was taken to hospital where she died. 3 men were also taken to hospital with gunshot wounds after the incident at the Lighthouse Inn on the Wirral. The Archbishop of Canterbury has given his Christmas sermon paying tribute to the late Queen and remembering those who suffer immense anxiety and hardship. Justin Welby said there's unconquerable hope despite conflicts around the world and the cost of living crisis. He's also praised the example set by the late Queen, saying she lived a life of service and put her interest after those she served. And the Prince and Princess of Wales have shared a festive picture painted by their 9-year-old son, Prince George. For those listening to us on the radio, the painting shows a portrait of a reindeer in the snow with a sky blue background alongside 2 robins. And the message attached to the picture says Merry Christmas. TV, online and DAB Plus radio. This is GB News.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. We're going to be here for you, our GB News family, to keep you up to date, but also make you smile.
As a guy who went from puberty to adultery.
And I can't wait to bring a few of my own opinions.
I have no time for cultural totalitarianism.
We'll engage in passionate, but always polite debate, with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, Saturday and Sunday afternoons on GB News. Expect fiery debate and passionate discussion as me and my panel tackle some of the biggest topics hitting the headlines. It's a place for everyone's opinion. No one gets cancelled, but no one gets an easy ride.
Oh, she's on it today!
Be ready for conversations that are fierce, frank, and of course, fun. Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch.
You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh, my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
And right across the United Kingdom.
You can find us on Sky Channel 512,
Virgin Media Channel 604,
Freesat Channel 216,
Freeview Channel 236,
and YouView Channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB Plus Radio,
with the GB News app and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
So welcome back and Merry Christmas to you all. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. Now, of course, our top story this morning, King Charles III has made his first Christmas address as monarch. I'm joined now by Dr. Gavin Ashenden, former chaplain to our late Queen. Thank you so much, Gavin, for joining us. A pleasure to talk to you. So what do you think, then, the King's speech, how does it compare to his late mother's previous Christmas messages?
I thought it was very good indeed, and it was wonderful. He's really stepped into her shoes in a very impressive way, and a great deal of thought had been given to the speech. So it ticked all the boxes you'd want it to tick. He talked about believing in both God and people, and then, as your commentators have already said, he moved through various groups he wanted to give thanks to. He sympathised with those who lost a loved one. So on the plus side, it was really very good indeed. However, I think there's a minus. The problem is that it's a bit like watching a wonderful ship that's holed beneath the waterline slowly sink. And at some point, what you want to do is to stop it sinking and make sure that it floats. And I don't think the monarchy can float if it becomes a multicultural, multi-faith monarchy. And what we've been seeing is a very slow, gradual shift from being a Christian monarchy to a multi-faith one. The problem is that you're either a defender of the faith or you're not. And there are some very distinctive things about Christianity which are, I think, play a very important role in sustaining our way of life. And they are the importance of the individual as opposed to the group you belong to, the unique Christian gift of turning the other cheek and forgiving your enemies rather than taking revenge on them. There's so much about Christianity that is just directly responsible for our way of life and our culture. And I think that if this slow movement into multiculturalism and multi-faith goes on, we'll lose the monarchy, because in the end, I don't think it will be true to itself. So although he did fantastically well, and a great credit to those who helped him write the speech and presented it, I'd like to see him as more of a Christian monarch than a multi-faith monarch.
But why do you think that will mean that a slow creep into multiculturalism and multi-faith will mean the decline of the monarchy? I don't see the connection. Surely, as the monarchy needs to evolve with the world and the people within it.
So I think it's a very reasonable point of view, and it all depends on whether you take a kind of a nice view of the world or a more suspicious view of the world. If you take a nice view of the world, then what you say is exactly right. It's just a matter of slow, cheerful evolution so that the good rises to the top and everyone lives happily ever after. But I don't think that's the world we live in. We live in a world where there's serious competition for power and where Christianity is being squeezed out of the public square. Christianity has very distinctive and different, opposite beliefs to many other worldviews, particularly on sexuality and the value of the individual. And in fact, there are many areas now you can't be employed as a Christian. If, for example, you hold to the Christian belief of marriage between a man and a woman, or traditional sexuality. So the problem that we're having at the moment is that Christianity is under assault. Now, the question is, what does a Christian king do about that? Does a Christian king save Christianity? Does he become defender of the faith, which is what his title really is? Or, as Charles has done, with a sleight of hand, say, no, I'm defender of all faiths, which means I don't have to defend Christianity. If you don't defend Christianity today, we'll lose it from this country. We've already had a situation where the police have just arrested a woman because she might have been praying near a closed abortion centre. The problem we face is a serious conflict of values. And I don't think it can be, there can't be a solution by just saying, do you know what, all the values are the same, let's pretend everything is nice. I don't think nice will cut it. And the monarchy will, there are two ways of doing the monarchy. One is the nice version and the other is the realistic version. I'd recommend the realistic version of being a Christian monarch and defending Christian beliefs before Christianity gets pushed out of the public square.
But surely Christianity can evolve. So if it evolves, then it survives. Everything needs to evolve to survive, right? Even mankind, evolution of mankind. We started one way and then we evolved to combat different viruses and things that were brought to us. So what we were, say, maybe 200 years ago, our species has evolved. And nothing, if things don't evolve, then they die. So with your analogy, then yes, Christianity will be dead if it does not evolve with the changing times and beliefs of mankind. But are you saying that Christianity needs to stay as it is? And if it stays as it is, then it dies. But that's with anything.
No, absolutely not. For example, if I was a Muslim and you said that to me, one of the things that Islam always says is, no, we absolutely don't evolve. The Quran is the Quran. Society has to adopt to our faith. Islam is absolutely clear about that. Is Islam dying? Certainly isn't. It's expanding. People like the confidence and the clarity of its value system. The same thing is true with Christianity. We're not an organic religion adapting ourselves to somebody else. We are people who had an experience of the living God, and the living God says to humanity, if you want to survive, you behave like this. Evolution is the wrong model in this case. It's much more like being adrift at sea and finding a lifebelt, and to avoid drowning, you grab the lifebelt. You don't ask the lifebelt to evolve into some kind of other matter. You need a lifebelt too badly. That's what Christianity is. It's a way of saving people's lives.
It's true, but the lifebelt could evolve and be more efficient as well, and probably save more people if it changed a little bit. And I think, when you talk about Islam, I mean, Sharia law is something that was constructed. It's not in the Quran, so it has evolved. Things have changed within it because that's formed part of it now, hasn't it? So I think that you're wrong to say that those religions haven't evolved, but I would admit that they've done it more slowly. But I would say that.
Well, I think if we take out the Darwinian overtones and we say developed. Then, of course, everything develops. Of course it does. Things grow organically. I agree with you entirely. But the problem with evolution is, I think, that the model is, the reason it's not a good, useful one, is something can evolve from something to something completely different. If it develops, the question is, does it develop in a way that keeps its integrity with its original foundational beliefs? Now, both Christianity and Islam would say they have an absolute mandated duty from God to develop in a way that keeps their internal integrity. So you're right, there has to be some development and some change. But the question is always going to be, does the change remain and does it reflect the original integrity of the belief, or does it actually lose it? And the church has faced that many times. Lots of times the church has developed in a way that was untrue to its beliefs, and it's called repentance. You have to stop, say sorry, turn around and go back to where you went wrong and start again. So there's good development and there's bad development.
Well, listen, Dr. Gavin Ashenden, it's very great to talk to you. He's the former chaplain to our late Queen. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Lovely to talk to you. Wow,
thank you. Happy Christmas.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. So joining me as well today, Keith Prince and also Sarah Davison in studio, and also Sam Dowler, who is at home. Keith has acquired a hat. So what do you think? What are you saying about Christianity? I mean, he's basically saying that in a sense, if King Charles wants it to survive, it needs to stay as it is, which is kind of what he's saying. Otherwise, multiculturalism, in terms of multi-faith aspect, won't actually work. Keith, I know you're quite a religious person. What did you think of what he was saying? Well, you're Christian, aren't you? I am. I'm born again. The problem the King's got, well, not so much himself, but certainly his son will have, is that experts are predicting that by 2050, the UK will be predominantly Muslim. More than 50% will be Muslim. So he must be looking at that and thinking, if I make a big thing about just being the defender of the Christian faith, where does that leave the monarchy and where does that leave my son going forward? That's the dilemma that he has. Well, I think that's why he's changing it and allowing it to grow so that it can attract more people from more diverse environments. Otherwise, if you stick with the concept and the notion that the only right way to be married is man to woman, then we have a growing diversity of, faith, but also diversity of behaviour as well. And so it needs to be all-encompassing to encourage people to join, because ultimately it is about being good to each other and it's about love. It's not about, you have to be this to be that to love. I mean, Sarah, what do you think?
Well, I think the Queen was very good at being popular with everybody, wasn't she? And I think it's really important that we continue with that, because it's such a fundamental part of being British and being, living here. So, yeah, I think that absolutely we need to develop, whether you call it evolve or develop. I think that developing and moving with the times and bringing in as many people as possible, I think is really important.
Interesting.
And he's the king of the United Kingdom, so he's got to be the king of everybody who lives in the country,
and he's
he?
wise to say multi-faith, because if this is if what you've said is true, Keith, then there'll be lots of people who are Muslim more than Christian, so he might as well be a presider of all faiths rather than just saying, we'll just do that one, because at the time when it was initiated, it was the biggest faith in this country. But I want to move on, because we saw that picture. Was it George who's drawn that picture? He's 9 years old. That's a very good picture for a 9-year-old.
That's exceptional. That's exceptional, yeah. I can't draw a picture that well.
Do you think he drew that? I mean, look, come on, seriously. That's like something on a Christmas card. Sorry, how old's your son?
He's 14.
He's 14. Could he draw like that at 14?
Unfortunately, no, he can't. But that's not his passion. Maybe it's George's passion. Maybe he's a budding artist.
No, that's too good. The eyes. Maybe what they mean is he coloured it in. Do you think?
I don't know.
Possibly.
Should have given a red nose, though. Should have done a Rudolph, shouldn't
that's
he?
true. It's got a little robin on there. No, but I mean, even the robin. So if you're listening on radio, there's a fantastic picture of a reindeer, sort of front face on, with a little robin on one of his antlers, and also a robin on sort of his back, or like on his behind, but it's sort of back in the picture, with snow coming down and a blue background. And it's just done. I mean, even the ears. I mean, look at the edging around the ears and the hair,
the eyes,
and the shadowing as well. I mean, there's even shadowing on one side. I mean, come on.
Maybe he had a bit of help.
I mean, what do you think?
Well, my son can't draw that well, and he's 32.
Well, I can't draw like that, and I'm over 50. Let's go to Sam Dowler at home. Sam, do you believe he drew that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, they're not gonna lie about that, are they? It's like, I mean, obviously, it might have had a little help from his art teacher, perhaps, because the shading is excellent. I mean, I did art A level actually, and so like when I was his age, you know, my paintings didn't look too far off that. So maybe he loves art, and it's pretty, and the reindeer looks really snug, and the robins as well, which is a national bird, I believe, isn't it? So I think it's lovely.
And its nose is actually in the shape of a heart, if you look. So it's really quite sweet.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I agree with your guess that maybe it should have been red, you know, just for a little extra, a little extra story. But yeah, I think it's fabulous, and it's nice that they are proud of his work. So I think it's beautiful.
And I wanted to ask you, Sam, because I didn't ask you about this. Are you a religious person, and what did you think of Gavin's view on the fact, on Christianity, and that actually it's a dying faith, and if the king wants the monarchy to survive, he needs to stick with the sort of original concept and philosophies of that faith?
I think he was talking a load of old rot, to be honest with you. The church has to change and develop and become, because obviously people are leaving the church because of things like you brought up, like about same-sex marriage, for example. Like I went to a gay wedding in the summer at a Methodist church, and the vicar was very moving, because she was like, it's the first time we've had a gay marriage in this church. It was in the church. It was a real Christian wedding, and even with one of your I got into a Twitter spat with one of your presenters, Calvin, who said that isn't a Christian wedding. It's not a Christian wedding because it was a gay wedding. And I was like, but it was in a Methodist church and it was done by a vicar. So I mean, it's that kind of, one side thinks one thing, another side thinks another thing. Like it's not just gay people, for example, who would be like, oh well, why would I want to be a part of a church that doesn't want me to be part of it? But it would be like everyone surrounding them as well, all of their loved ones, etc. So that's exactly why going backwards and being more traditional will only put more nails in the coffin. It's ridiculous.
Well, I share that view, actually, Sam Dowler. Lovely to talk to you. Stay with us. And as ever, this show's nothing without you and your views. Let's welcome our great British voice, your opportunity to tell us what you think about the topics we're discussing. Let's go to Watford. Let's have a chat with David. David Balm. Hello, David. How you doing?
Hello, Nana. How are you doing? Happy Christmas to everyone.
Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas. So what's going on in your Christmas then? Where is everybody? Where are your family? What are they doing? Oh, he's frozen.
Oh, no.
He's frozen. Look.
Must be
I wanted
cold.
to do a little Madonna song there. I want to be... Well, that Frozen song, do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. So listen, what do you think then? The church then, in summary then, because I think if it doesn't evolve, it's dead. That's my view.
Well, you've only got to go to a lot of the more traditional churches. And I was in a church the other day and they went, oh, we had 28 people turn up today. But I go to the Tabernacle in Lewisham from time to time. That has like 800 people turn up on a Sunday. So it has to evolve.
And what's going on with that that's different to the other one? Is it one of those where everyone's singing and dancing?
It's Pentecostal. It's like the beginning when we do praise and worship, it's like being at a rock concert. And also the message is more about how God will help you, what you have to do to help yourself. And it's not so much preaching as more teaching, and it's more involving.
Yeah. Do you go to church, Sarah?
No, I don't. But I do think that, I think in this day and age, everyone is a lot more anxious. There's a lot of things going on right now that make people worried. There's a lot of tension. So I think, absolutely.
Church is a good place. I used to like the bit where it says, I give you peace, the peace I give you, then we just shake hands with everybody. That was my favourite bit. Let's go back to David, though. I think we've unfrozen him. David, are you unfrozen now? Can you talk to us? That's better. Yay! Right, so talk to me about your Christmas then. What's going on with your family?
We've got half the family here today. Tomorrow we go down to Bournemouth to see our son, our daughter-in-law and our fabulous granddaughter, who's 4. And so this is her first proper Christmas where she understands the fun bit of Christmas about the giving. But I was listening to the debate. It's great. But the one thing that the traditionalists forget is the basis, I believe, of all religion is to be good people, to help people. Not so much about being in a temple or a synagogue. I'm Jewish, being in a synagogue or being in a mosque. It's about what's right and what's proper, and we should be helping people regardless of what their beliefs are.
That is very true, David. Well, listen, Merry Christmas to you, and enjoy.
And you too, and to the guests in the studio, and hopefully see you next year.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So that's David. He said he's Jewish. He's celebrating Christmas. And
Hanukkah, I think.
Yeah, but no. Well, Hanukkah's something. It is Christmas, but today is Christmas. Hanukkah is different days. So, yeah, it is. Yes, it is. What was it? The 18th to the 26th is Hanukkah. Yeah. So.
That makes you happy?
Yeah, it does. It makes me incredibly happy.
But they're celebrating Hanukkah. That's what they're celebrating.
And so listen. So anyway, but his point is true for me. Okay, so the church. The problem that we're having with the church here is that it's too busy sort of messing around with the minutiae. It's all, you're gay and you're going to get married in this way and you can't marry a man and da-da-da-da. Instead of the actual message, which is supposed to be about kindness, love, forgiveness, and joy, rather than, all this sort of what they're messing about with. And also, it's boring. It's boring. I mean, I went to a Catholic school run by nuns, Sisters of the Holy Sepulchre. It was, fantastic, but it was boring. Church was boring. That was why I loved that bit when you shake hands and then when you had the bread, you got up and you had that bread and a little sip of wine. I lived for that.
Well, that's what you get in a Pentecostal church. It's much more vibrant, much more fun, and it should be fun. You're right. The core message, Jesus says, love thy neighbour like thyself. That's the core message, Matthew 19:19. But it is about not what you can do for yourself; it's what you can do for others.
So, as a Christian, though, do you subscribe to the notion that a man and a man shouldn't be married and that sort of thing?
I've grown to believe that that's acceptable now. Originally, I wasn't really too much in favour of that because it's a very, very clear teaching in the Bible. But for me, I think, and I actually went to a gay marriage not that long ago, and it was great. And I thought, well, OK, that's where we are.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's called evolution, change, whatever you want to say. But if you want to survive, you have to evolve. Right, well, if you just tuned in, welcome aboard. This is a GB News. There's still loads more to come. Do not go anywhere in the next hour.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
Here on GB News Live, we'll be keeping you in the picture, finding out what's happening across the country and finding out why it matters to you. We'll have the facts fast with our team of reporters and specialist correspondents. Wherever it's happening, we'll be there from 12 noon on TV, radio and online. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Dubes & Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Dubes & Kerr.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store? You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing! You see, amazing!
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
It's just going up to 4 o'clock. You're with me. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. On the way, I'll be delivering my special Christmas monologue for you this afternoon, so do not go anywhere. But first, let's get your latest news headlines.
Nana, thank you very much. This is the latest from the GB Newsroom. The King has used his Christmas broadcast to praise individuals, charities and faith groups supporting those in need. He's also sympathised with households struggling with the cost of living crisis, speaking about the great anxiety and hardship people are facing. He also highlighted the selfless dedication of the armed forces and emergency services, calling it a value embodied by the late Queen. Earlier, he attended the royal family's traditional Christmas Day church service in Sandringham. The King and the Queen Consort were joined by the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children. A 26-year-old woman who was killed in a pub in Merseyside on Christmas Eve was not thought to be targeted. Merseyside police say she was celebrating Christmas with friends and family when she was shot and killed. She was taken to hospital where she died from her injuries. 3 men were also taken to hospital with gunshot wounds after the incident at the Lighthouse Inn on the Wirral. The Archbishop of Canterbury has given his Christmas sermon paying tribute to the late Queen and remembering those who suffer immense anxiety and hardship. Justin Welby said there's unconquerable hope in the birth of Jesus Christ, despite conflicts around the world and the cost of living crisis. He's also praised the example set by the late Queen, saying she lived a life of service and put her interest after those she served. Over 1 million Americans and Canadians are facing Christmas Day without power as a winter storm continues to sweep across the United States. According to reports, weather-related car accidents in the US have left at least 16 dead. Nearly 3,000 flights were cancelled yesterday, with some airports closed. New York's governor has declared a state of emergency. Thousands of people who are planning to travel by train tomorrow are being advised to make alternative plans due to a rail strike. Reduced services are expected on Boxing Day, with some not running at all. It comes as members of the RMT union will walk out again in an ongoing dispute over jobs, pay and conditions. The disruption will also impact airport transfers, including London's Heathrow and Stansted Express. The lack of trains means the AA expects over 15 million cars to be on the UK roads tomorrow. A water firm is urging consumers not to pour turkey fat down the sink as it could block sewage systems. South West Water, which serves almost 1 million households across Devon and Cornwall, says the waste fat could clog pipework when it cools. The company says every year they deal with over 8,000 blocked sewers across the region. The Prince and Princess of Wales have shared a Christmas painting created by their 9-year-old son, Prince George. For those listening to us on the radio, the painting shows a portrait of a reindeer in the snow with a sky blue background along with 2 robins. The message attached to the picture says Merry Christmas. And thousands of people across the UK have kicked off their Christmas Day celebrations with a cold water swim. Hundreds of people braved icy waters, many dressed in Christmas clothing. That was along the coast in Suffolk. And bagpipes led proceedings at London's Hyde Park, for many doing the same thing to celebrate Christmas this morning. This is GB News. We'll bring you more news as it happens. Now it's back to Nana Akua.
Good afternoon. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. Now, today, I actually wanted to celebrate what we have in this country. I mean, there's enough people putting it down. The one great bastion that sets us aside from most, and the one great constant that has given this country the stability and celebrates the traditions and the history, good or bad, that puts the great in Great Britain. I want to celebrate the monarchy. And it's not easy being royal. When I hear people denigrate the monarchy in this country, I ask myself, why? What would you put in its place? More politicians? It's the last great thing holding this great country together. But this once great country is falling apart at the seams. Institutions that have been the envy of the rest of the world are turning it into a laughingstock. Take the NHS. Stay at home, save lives, save the NHS. Remember that? We clapped in the streets, we stayed at home to the detriment of our own health so that the NHS would not get overwhelmed, only to find our taxpayers' cash going into mismanagement, a frivolous attitude towards procurement, equality, diversity and inclusion jobs. One role I read the other day offering £115,000 for a director of lived experience. What the hell is that? We can all do that, sign me up. And all of this at the expense of the frontline staff who, in my view, could do with a decent pay rise, maybe not 19%, but I get it. If the government can find the money to enable non-dom status for the Prime Minister's wife and other multi-millionaires and can pluck billions from thin air, then who can blame the nurses, rail workers and anyone else from having a pop? Only plucking money out of thin air causes inflation, which is why we are where we are. But the wheels of the monarchy keep turning, not driven by career goals like our politicians. The monarchy doesn't go on strike. After the year that it's had, you'd think it might consider it. We've got the United Kingdom, so England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland in disarray. Let's take Scotland, with one trick pony, one agenda, Nicola Sturgeon at the helm, with which my mother, as you know, I just can't stand that woman. Instead of dealing with Scotland's drug problem, murder rate and the higher levels of poverty, when Nicola's not fighting for independence, she's passing laws for trans people to self-ID at an earlier age without any medical supervision, which in my view is madness. Creating laws to help a tiny minority of people at the expense of a huge majority, women, when you call that democracy? If you want an example of a brilliant woman, take our late Queen Elizabeth II, a woman in command, exerting soft power and protecting the Union, the very opposite to that of Nicola Sturgeon. We've seen Beergate, Partygate, the 45 days of Liz Truss. Our politicians are changing more frequently than the Guard, with 3 Prime Ministers in just this year alone. Yet the monarchy is unflinching. The stability this 1,000-year-old institution offers is not sniffed at. I ask again, what would you put in its place? More politicians? No thanks. And being royal is a lot harder than it looks. Meghan Markle is testament to that. She can't admit that she was unable to grasp how difficult it actually is and the incredible sacrifice that these amazing individuals give for this country. They make it look easy. Sadly, both Meghan and Harry failed which is why they're so bitter, blaming everything on race. They're too stubborn to admit that they were simply not selfless enough. They were eaten up by jealousy despite being given all the tools and limitless cash to succeed, giving up one of the most incredible and privileged roles on the planet to join the rat race like the rest of us. The world watched and celebrated the Jubilee. It mourned with us over the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and the eyes of the world will be upon us once again at the coronation of King Charles III. Our late Queen had the right idea. Never complain, never explain. The monarchy is at work all day, every day, upholding the traditions and values of this country. It puts the great in Great Britain. So let's raise a glass to the institution, the foundation of the union, the glue that holds this country together. Let's raise a glass to the monarchy.
Yeah, yeah.
So hello and welcome. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua, and for the next 2 hours, me and my panel will be taking on some of the big topics hitting the headlines right now. This show is all about opinion. It's mine, it's theirs, and of course it's yours. We'll be debating, discussing, and at times we will disagree, but no one will be cancelled. Joining me today is Keith Prince and also Sarah Davison. And live at home, Sam Dowler. Welcome to you all this Christmas Day. OK, so I just want to wish you all a happy Christmas. Now let's talk to my panel then. So what did you think of all of that then? What did you think? What did you make of what I was saying with regard to the monarchy?
Yeah, spot on, I thought, actually. Yeah, spot on. And unlike the King, you did make reference to the Sussexes.
Well, I had to. I couldn't let them get off scot-free. But it just shows, right, that what a difficult job they do, right?
Yeah.
And how difficult it is to actually be royal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think William and Kate make it look so easy that you think, well, it doesn't look hard when they do it. But the work to be able to be that nice and smile at everyone all the time, I mean, that's an incredible achievement. I think it takes, as you said, a lot of selflessness to be able to do that.
I think I could probably do it.
Do you want to give it a go?
You are a queen, Nana. You are a queen, as your name suggests.
It does, actually. In Ghana, that's what it kind of means. Yeah, sort of chief and boss, whatever. But yeah, Ed, what do you think then with regard to how it'll pan out? Because I don't, I should mention the Sussexes, so I'm going to do it. But in my view, I felt that the media should sort of stop all this sort of pandering to all the things that they're putting out there and stop, focusing on it. And I, for one, am guilty of it. But then it is news. We have to talk about the news. But when they're bringing out different things one after the other, do you think it's time that people sort of stopped focusing on that, Sarah?
Yeah, I think what actually I don't like about it is the fact that it's creating more unease, more uncertainty at a time when the country really needs to be pulling together and standing by each other. And I think people, it divides the nation on your opinions. And I think what we really need right now is compassion and kindness. And, being around family can be tough. But I think, never complain, never explain might be a bit extreme for most of us. But I think rising above and doing the right thing and not getting involved is absolutely the right way forward.
Well, listen, still to come, we have a royal reaction from Insider's royal biographer Hugo Vickers and royal commentator Michael Cole, who will join me to discuss the King's historic Christmas speech. And also we'll be joined by royal butler Grant Harold, who will give us an insight to what Christmas Day is like for the royal family. I'll also be joined by some of our amazing Great British voices. They've been always here giving us their ideas and their thoughts on everything we're debating, and they'll be sharing what they're doing this Christmas Day. And we always want to hear from you, so please do send in your stories. What are you up to today? We haven't heard much from you. Any pictures that you've got of the family, or are people, what do you do on Christmas? Email me, gbviews@gbnews.uk, or tweet me at gbnews.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates.
Do you not believe in prisons? I don't believe in prisons. I'm completely stunned.
I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8". My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Hello, I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m, where I'll be joined by 2 of the country's top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News Headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
So it's just coming up to 15 minutes after 4 o'clock. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. Now, before the break, I was discussing how great this country is. I was trying to talk this country up because it is fantastic. Yeah. Let's have a look at what you've been saying. Carol says, brilliant monologue, Nana. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Carol, as well. Yeah. Daryl says, I would like to congratulate Nana on an excellent monologue. Well thought out, well presented, well explained, well done and top notch. Boom. Thank you very much. So nice. Ross says, I'm spending Christmas with my in-laws, but would rather be watching you. Merry Christmas.
Do both.
Yeah, do both. And Jill says, hey, Nana, let the British people enjoy our new king on our special day, as it's time to ignore Mr. Ginge and Mrs. Winge. I agree with you, I do. But I had to drop them in because it's just to show how hard the royal family work. I mean, it sounds like, you know, like when you think, oh, they're just out there, they're just doing this. Listen, smiling at people constantly, non-stop, not allowed to let your guard down, shaking hands, the cameras are on you 24/7. I mean, I'm doing this for, 3 hours today? This could be 24/7. I mean, I think I'd probably enjoy it. But to keep yourself up there all the time is difficult. I mean...
Yeah, it is, you know. I'm sure you experience it same as I do. You know, you're out in public and all of a sudden someone comes up to you. I mean, probably with you they say nice things. Sometimes with me they don't say very nice things.
Say nice things.
But you have to be on your guard all the time, you know, and you have to be, you know, very friendly and listen to people. And, and I'm nobody. But if you're the king or the...
You're somebody, Keith.
Oh, no, I'm far too humble to say that.
All right, fair enough. He's nobody. He's a nobody.
I think we all have bad days, don't we? But you never see that with the royals. They're always smiling, they're always polite, they always want to listen. And I've met them a few times, and I find them always. Yeah, I met Prince William and Prince Harry a long time ago at a polo match. And
do you go to polo matches? Do you?
Well, I did back then.
Really?
It was a company thing, and I went along. And actually, Prince William was so friendly, so charming. Yeah, and I just thought, well, you've gone down a whole line of people shaking hands, and you still look pleased to see me. You know, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and it might not sound like much, but it is. I mean, you know, when I'm driving in my car in my little C1 with my road rage, you know, and I think to myself, oh, hang on, stop yourself there, because if somebody recognises you or thinks, you know, you don't want people to think you're horrible. Just like the rest of you, though, I get angry quite easily if someone does. But that's the thing. They manage to keep it together, so it's not as easy as it looks. But the other thing is, you know, I'm sick and tired of people sort of talking this country down. Yeah, we've got our issues and we do our best to try, you know, like the NHS and things like that. They're going through flux at the moment. But ultimately, this country has a lovely ethos and a lovely mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about British people, we're very generous, we're very welcoming, and the amount of work that people do for charity, there's many, many good things that happen in this country, and that's what we should be talking about, the good things, and all the people that give up their time freely to help others. That's what is so great about Britain.
And that's what the King was focusing on, right, in his speech. He's very much pointing out all the different people that are doing things to help today, the charity work people are doing and the kindness and compassion. And I think that's the message that we really need to embrace. Whatever you focus on, you see more of. And if we're focusing on all the stress and all the anxiety right now, we're just going to feel more of that. So I think definitely the speech was great. And I think we live in a great country.
Yeah, and the royal family ultimately are quite selfless.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
I agree.
And that's the thing, and I'm not going to mention whinge and ginge. I won't do it. I won't do it. I think that was, to me, the issue. The fact that you had to be giving, the fact that you had to be selfless, put others before yourself, and whilst the rewards are these riches and whatever it would appear, all of that is on show, and it's for show, and you've got to be able to give yourself in the way they have. So I think people should be respected. And the alternative is politicians, which...
Whoa, yeah, I mean, what can I say about politicians, you know? Whoa.
I mean, a lot of them. I mean,
all of us, yeah, we're all, you know.
No, but the lot. Actually, no. I think the councillors and people, I would put them in a different category because I think that
assembly members especially, you know, they are different. Me and Sean, you know, me and Sean Bailey, you know.
Yeah, but you're closer to the people. You're in touch with people all the time. Whereas when I speak about politicians, yes, councillors can be a bit annoying. I mean, you see the Jackie Weaver, what's the name? You've got no authority. That's why when I think of, you know, I imagine people, the sort of local councillors in that way. But
I'm one of those as well, you know.
Yeah, I know. Very irritating.
And a local council.
But the point is, at the top of the tree where the politicians are, the MPs and so on and so forth, they are very self-serving. There's some of them that are very selfless, I suppose, but the majority of it, from what I can see, is all career-orientated. And having a monarchy means that people are already in that position. They don't need to bribe anybody or do anything. Not that our politicians do, but there's some funny shenanigans going on. But you know, they don't need to worry about money in that way, which makes them able.
They're above it all, aren't they?
Yeah.
The great thing about the monarchy, they're above it all. And when we did have a bit of a crisis earlier in the year about who was going to be running the country, we knew that if it got out of hand, the Queen would have stepped in. She has the power to say, no, sorry, and sort things out. And that's really very, very reassuring.
Well, I don't fancy going to a republic anytime soon.
No.
Not with this lot in charge, I'm sorry, but they're all... Let's not think about them, because it's now time for our great British debate this out. I'm asking, is the institution of the monarchy in decline? Let's discuss King Charles's Christmas speech as the king and the longevity of the monarchy with Hugo Vickers, the royal biography. He joins me live alongside Michael Cole, royal commentator and former royal correspondent. OK, so I'm going to start with you, Hugo. What do you think? Is the monarchy, do you think that there's the longevity and there's a risk that it could be in decline?
Well, I loved everything you said earlier on in the programme, quite frankly, and I was so glad that somebody was speaking up for the monarchy. The late Queen was perhaps the only person in public life who, at a very young age of 21, made a promise and basically kept that promise for the next 75 years, which was to serve this country faithfully and selflessly all her life. And she did that, and that was completely and absolutely remarkable. You're quite right, they are above it all. There is power, as it were, in a sense, vested in them, which they will never use, which prevents other people from using it. And they're a wonderful long stop in the Constitution, along with all the other wonderful works that they do. I don't think that they're in decline at all. I mean, they have hiccups here and there. They've survived hiccups in the past, and they will survive hiccups in the future.
Well, and we would like to see them survive. I mean, I personally would. Michael, your view?
One of the great things about the constitutional monarchy, which we are lucky enough to have, is that it's the greatest protection we could possibly ever have against extremism and dictatorship. Because at the end of the day, any extremist laws, like the Nuremberg laws passed in Nazi Germany in 1936, could never be passed in this country, because at the end of the day, the monarch has to sign them off. And if that doesn't happen, we get a constitutional crisis and the people rise up and they'll be marching behind the king. And the King today gave a very good address. It was very much him. It was to the point. He'd obviously written it himself. But I tell you, Nana, what was really interesting was the visuals. We saw and had a name check for the Prince and Princess of Wales. We saw on film the Earl and Countess of Wessex, Edward and Sophie, and we saw the Princess Royal, Princess Anne. Who we didn't see was the Duke and Duchess of Sussex on their hilltop fortress in California. So if I was doing a football commentary, I would say House of Windsor 4, House of Winch 0.
I like that. I like that. Hugo, would you echo that sentiment?
Yes, I would. I think he was emphasising the positive. We've had a lot of talk ever since the Queen died about the working royals, and even during the Jubilee, it was the working royals who were put into the front row and came to the fore, and that's absolutely right. The most successful members of royal family are those who support the monarch without competing with her or him, and that you see in the ones that Michael mentioned, the Princess Royal, who works tirelessly, the Wessexes, who work tirelessly, and the other members of the family as well, who when called upon to do things, take up the challenge and help the king. That's what they're there for. He can't do everything. Those that sort of pop up to compete, it doesn't usually work. And the trouble with the Sussexes is that they're working for themselves, not for the nation and the Commonwealth. They were given that opportunity and they turned it down. That's the subtle difference.
And I wanted to ask you, actually, Michael, I wanted to ask you your view. Dr. Gavin Ashenden, he talked about the decline of the monarchy with regard to the fact that it's turning into sort of a more multicultural, in terms of religion, approach. Did you go along with his idea of that?
No, when I was royal correspondent, the popularity of the Queen, the rating was something 83%. Maybe it's not as high as that, but the royal family regularly have ratings which any politician in the democratic Western world would die for. And what was else interesting, and I think the visuals of today's broadcast are fascinating, he name-checked the nurses on strike, some of them. He name-checked the ambulance drivers. There we saw them on the film. And also he went through, I mean, he was embracing all the religions that are the major religions that are pursued in complete freedom in this country, and great tolerance and indeed welcome. So he was setting out his stall to be an inclusive monarch. And the important thing is that the monarch must be a cohesive person. And I think 180 days into his reign, he's showing every good sign of being a very good monarch. Of course, his reign will not be as long as his mother. It couldn't possibly be. Hers was record-breaking. But a short reign can be a very successful one. His great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, Edward VII, only reigned for 9 years, but he gave his name to the Edwardian era, which was regarded in retrospect as a golden age when people prospered and they did well. And I think that was the message which I think came over. It was full of compassion, it was full of hope, and it echoed what his mother had been saying during her record-breaking reign of 70 years and 6 months. Wow.
Really, really sensational, incredible, and she didn't really put a foot wrong. And it's not easy being royal, as we've seen people coming into it and trying to do it, a lot of them failing. Hugo, having heard his speech, what is your take on the survival of the monarchy? What do you think it needs to do to ensure its survival? Because obviously nothing will last forever, and there is a potential that it could. I don't think it will, but what do you think it needs to do to keep itself current and keep itself alive?
I think it's already doing it. And actually, I think you'll find that if you look through history, you'll find plenty of times when people have predicted the end of the monarchy, and it's never happened. As you rightly pointed out earlier on, what on earth would you put in its place? It's doing an extremely good job, very effectively. And the king, he seems to be a sort of slightly different person, doesn't he? Which is exactly, as Michael was saying, what happened with Edward VII. And he as Prince of Wales, hadn't actually had a very good reputation. Our Prince of Wales had a very hard-working reputation, but as king, he's sort of become a sort of much more substantial figure. He's moved very effortlessly and easily into the role. He is not even competing with his mother's memory, I don't think. I think he's quietly establishing his own position and his own role, and I think as long as he continues to do that, all will be well.
Well, listen, it's really, really good to get your views on this. And finally, whilst I've got you there, Hugo, what are you doing then today? Are you with family or are you just hanging out? What are you doing for Christmas?
I am with family. I've left them all downstairs for the moment, and they helped me set up the complicated computer system, etc. But I'm very happy to come and have a chat with you for a few minutes. And as I said before, I really welcome what you said at the top of the hour. I thought that was fabulous. And please, distantly from Hungerford, please keep on doing it for us. We need your voice.
We will absolutely keep doing that. So thank you so much, Hugo, for joining us as well. You can start drinking now. Michael, what about you? What are you doing with the family?
I've got my beautiful grandchildren here, Elsa and Rosa and Kit, and my absolutely wonderful daughter, Annabelle, our wonderful daughter, Annabelle, and her husband, Sebastian. So we've got a house full and we're loving it, and we won't forget Teddy, the little dog, the Himalayan terrier. And, you know, if I can just return to something, I've always felt that a constitutional monarchy suits the British temperament. And there's nothing intrinsically more modern about a republic. When the republics became corrupt in ancient Rome, they replaced them. And do you know what they replaced them with? They replaced them with a monarchy. And can you imagine, Nana, can you imagine the situation where we have a vote for a president? Now, by definition, the people who put them forward to be president disqualify themselves by their vanity by doing so. And can you imagine if we had to vote for, shall we say, 3 people, and they were Richard Branson, Tony Blair, and Lenny Henry? Well, a lot of people would have gone out and hanged themselves from the nearest lamppost to vote for anyone.
3 jokers.
Yeah, no, long live the monarchy. Thank you so much, Hugo Vickers and also Michael Cole. Lovely to talk to you both. This is GB News. Stay with me. I'm Nana Akua. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio for the Great British Debate this hour. I'll be asking so much more because more than 100,000, but first of all, more than 100,000 Ukrainian refugees have come to the UK since the war began, and many will be celebrating Christmas abroad, away from friends and family. Moscow said that there was no prospect of a Christmas ceasefire after nearly 10 months of fighting. For the Ukrainians who suddenly had to call the UK home, many are desperately trying to hold on to their culture and traditions over the festive period, as Alice Porter reports.
In the water.
For Ksenia, Christmas is usually a time for family to come together. But after fleeing the war in Ukraine 7 months ago, this year it will just be her and her mum.
At Christmas, all the family gets together. It's like tradition. But now I think its tradition will be maybe only by video call if it will be electricity in Ukraine.
Having lost her brother and cousin in the war, Ksenia says she's just grateful to be alive.
You have no money or, I don't know, some credits. It's just so small things when you understand that you have the peace in your country. You have healthy, close people that you really love. Your mother, your father, your brother, your friends. You're not texting anybody with the question, how are you? Are you alive?
No, you're Eastern Orthodox, so you'll be celebrating Christmas on the 7th of January. Traditionally, what does Christmas look like to you?
There's have to be like 12 dishes, like this 12 disciples. It's meat with fish. It's a lot of like conserve this food, like these vegetables.
Ksenia and her mother Victoria made me some traditional Ukrainian food to get into the festive spirit.
It's a Ukrainian dish named sirniki, similar to pancakes if cottage cheese is really... Oh gosh.
Food is one of the many ways which Ukrainians are expressing their culture abroad. Refugees in Budapest have been performing traditional dances outside the parliament. But for those still in Ukraine, Christmas trees are defiantly being put up in Kyiv. Andrei Detia is a local resident.
A Christmas tree? Actually, it's just a small piece of joy for our people, even in such sad, dark times. It's powered by a generator, which shows us all that the war continues, that there are power cuts. But the Russians will not be able to take away our holiday.
Despite losing family to the conflict, Ksenia is defiant that the Ukrainian spirit will prevail.
Yeah, it's war, it's terrible, it's really terrible. But from other hand, we're still alive. Where we still have the small fire in the hearts, because it's the most important thing to save this fire, even if it's terrible. And I think it's one of the most important things to our people.
Oh, that's a lovely message there, isn't it? You're with me. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. I'll be back with my panel, but first let's get your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon, it's 4:33. I'm Tatiana Sanchez in the GB newsroom. The King has used his Christmas broadcast to praise individuals, charities and faith groups supporting those in need. In the historic first address, the King also sympathised with households struggling with the cost of living crisis, speaking about the great anxiety and hardship people are facing. The King highlighted the selfless dedication of the armed forces and emergency services, calling it a value embodied by the late Queen. Earlier, he attended the royal family's traditional Christmas Day church service in Sandringham. The King and the Queen Consort were joined by the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children. A 26-year-old woman who was killed in a pub in Merseyside on Christmas Eve was not thought to be targeted. She was celebrating Christmas with friends and family when she was shot and killed. She was taken to hospital where she died from her injuries. 4 men were also taken to hospital with gunshot wounds after the incident. Merseyside police are urging anyone with information to come forward.
Now is the time for our communities to come together with us to show that the use of guns on our streets will not be tolerated. Our thoughts and condolences are very much with the family of the victim. Today, they should have been celebrating the joy of Christmas. Instead, they're trying to come to terms with what has happened and come to terms with the loss of a much-loved daughter and sister.
And the Prince and Princess of Wales have shared a festive picture painted by 9-year-old Prince George. For those listening to us on the radio, the painting shows a portrait of a reindeer in the snow with a sky blue background alongside 2 robins. The message attached to the card says, "Merry Christmas." TV, online and DAB+ radio. This is GB News.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. We're going to be here for you, our GB News family, to keep you up to date, but also make you smile.
The guy went from puberty to adultery.
And I can't wait to bring a few of my own opinions. I have no time for cultural totalitarianism. We'll engage in passionate, but always polite debate, with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, Saturday and Sunday afternoons on GB News. Expect fiery debate and passionate discussion as me and my panel tackle some of the biggest topics hitting the headlines. It's a place for everyone's opinion. No one gets cancelled, but no one gets an easy ride.
Oh, she's on it today!
Be ready for conversations that are fierce, frank, and of course, fun every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch.
You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
And right across the United Kingdom.
You can find us on Sky Channel 512,
Virgin Media Channel 604,
Freesat Channel 216,
Freeview Channel 236,
and YouView Channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB Plus Radio,
with the GB News app and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
So welcome back if you've just joined me. Where have you been? I know, having Christmas dinner, hanging out with your friends and family, fair enough. It's coming up to 39 minutes after 4 o'clock. This is GB News. I'm Nana Akua. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. Now, the King just made his first Christmas address as the monarch, and I'm joined now by Grant Harold. He's a former royal butler. Grant! Hello, sorry, I couldn't resist. Now, before we get into the question of whether the monarchy is in decline, I couldn't resist. Let's talk about the King's speech. All right, so what did you make of it? What was your take?
Merry Christmas, Nana. It was interesting because obviously it's the first time we've had a king actually do a televised Christmas speech. So that's obviously quite a historical moment. But it was quite significant because he, as well as all the traditional parts that forms a Christmas speech, he reflected on his late mother, which I think at this time of the year, a lot of people that have lost loved ones, this is, even though it's a happy day, it can also be a bit of a sad day. And I thought it was quite nice that he started off by talking about his late mother and late father and doing it from St George's Chapel where they're laid to rest. And oddly enough, the late Queen did a Christmas speech from there herself back in 1999. So there was lots of little special moments, I think, in the speech for him and the family.
Yeah, it was lovely, wasn't it? I mean, it's so lovely to hear him talk. And I think I think he wrote that. I mean, do you think he wrote it himself? Because sometimes they get a lot of help, but this felt like... Yeah.
Yeah, they do their own speech. I mean, of course, there's always assistance and guidance because there's so many things that they talk about. But it was interesting when he talked about with Christmas being a time for faith, whether you're religious or not. He obviously made reference to that. And what I remember of him, of the King, is he's somebody that is he respects all faiths. In fact, I'm sure, Nana, you know, at Highgrove there's a little church in the grounds, and regardless of faith, whatever faith you might be, you can worship there. And he actually made that possible. So it doesn't matter who is visiting him, if he wishes to take them, regardless of their faith, they can actually go there and worship, which is, it kind of sums him up, you know, as somebody that's a very modern monarch.
He is, and obviously his approach to the whole multi-kind of faith approach, which, I mean, some would say, I mean, initially we spoke to Gavin Assington and he said that would actually be the undoing of the monarchy, the fact that it's sort of a multicultural, multi-faith approach. Do you think that there's any truth in that, or do you think the monarchy kind of needs to evolve and go with the times and start to...
I think the monarchy has to. I mean, Nana, you know, I'm a lover of the royal family. I'm lucky enough to work for them, but I also love the royal family, and I think it's important that they are seen to modernise. I mean, the reality is that the country that he is king of is a very different country to the one that his mother 70 years took on, and he's got to show that and reflect that in everything he says and does. And I think that's what will survive monarchy. That's why it will survive, because of those. The royal family have got to show that they're a modern family, and I think that is what they're doing, and it's important that they do that going forward.
What are some of your favourite Christmas memories? Because you spent time with the royal family, you kind of know them. So what happens on Christmas? What do they do? What are your memories of it?
Well, the King, when he was Prince of Wales, they would be at Highgrove up until Christmas Eve, and then you'd go and join the rest of the family. And of course, that's what a lot of people might not realise, is that the royal family open this is the adults. Obviously, Santa comes for the children, but for the adults, they would exchange their Christmas gifts on Christmas Eve, which is a tradition that was back to Queen Victoria, during an afternoon tea. And then the following day, it's very much about the religious aspect, where you'd see the Queen actually go to church early in the morning, I believe around about 8 o'clock in the morning, and then would see the rest of the royal family, as we saw this year, where they go to the church, which is obviously an opportunity for the well-wishers to be there to say hello to them and pass on their well wishes and, of course, Christmas greetings. And then they'll get back, they'll have a traditional lunch like a lot of us do. There is, from what I understand, I've never been there on Christmas Day, but I understand that they do the traditional goose as well. So it's kind of like how we all do it. They've got their own little ways of doing things, and I think it's really important. I think the interesting thing, or the sad part this year, there won't be any, I'm guessing, well, I don't know, I was going to say the corgis won't be there, but then again, if Prince Andrew and Sarah Duchess of York are around, then it's possible, because they've got the corgis now. But I was going to say, I doubt there'll be any corgis around this Christmas, sadly.
Oh, it's kind of sad, isn't it? It's the first Christmas without the Queen as well for quite some time.
Is it? That's why I've got my own little Royal Dachshund here.
Oh, what's he called, or she? What's the name?
He's called Shumba. He's got a bit of a fan base on YouTube, so whenever he knows I'm doing any filming, he normally jumps up in my lap, which is what he just did a minute ago.
Oh, bless his heart, bless his heart. And did you see the picture that George drew, the little reindeer with the little heart?
I did.
Do you think he drew
the family have got? I think the family have got hidden talents there. I think you can see one day there's a Monet or Picasso in the mist there. I thought it was really sweet. I think it's nice that the royal family allow the children to kind of be part of this and share in these little moments. I know some people say, "Oh, well, what's the point?" Well, I think it's quite nice. I mean, the thing about Christmas is, as we all know, it's for children, isn't it? As much as they are, it's for children, and it's a chance for them to kind of share images. We see it all the time, and I think it's nice that the royal family has shown that as well with the little picture. I think it's fantastic, because I think that boy's got hidden talents there.
It's pretty good. Yeah, that's very good. I mean, the eyes, the shading, all of it's very. I mean, look, if he did it all by himself, I'm very, very impressed. I can't draw like that even now. Can you draw like that?
No, I wish I could draw like that. When I saw it, I thought, wow, that's quite good. How old is he? 9? I think 9.
9.
And I thought that's quite good for the age of 9. By the time he's 19, 20, as I say, we'll be getting Mona Lisas and things, I think, at that rate.
Yeah, I know. Very good. And so for you today, then, what does your day consist of on Christmas Day?
Well, I've actually escaped up to Scotland, so I'm up in a little place called Ely, which is lovely. It's very quiet for me. Sadly, like the royal family, I've lost my parents in recent years, so I've gone over and visited the grave, and I just have a quiet Christmas with my dogs, and I've got some friends coming around tonight. So it's the perfect Christmas.
Yeah. Well, listen, you go and have yourself a drink and have a drink for us. Lovely. Really lovely.
Thank you, Nana. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. That is former Royal Butler Grant Harold joining us. And also joining me today is Keith Prince and Sarah Davidson. So, God, I can't believe it. This is Christmas today.
Yeah.
I know. It's exciting.
Did you clock the seagull stuck on the end of a pole behind him?
No, I didn't see
I found
that.
that completely distracting. Why would you just... Maybe it had an unfortunate landing, but why would you stick a seagull on a pole?
He's still there. Yeah, why have you got that?
Explain the seagull.
What was it on a stick for?
It's always been here, actually. It's always been in this cottage, and I didn't have the heart to kind of move it on, so I've kind of kept it. But it's not, I assure you, it's not stuffed. It's a puppet.
It's a puppet. Thank you, Grant. Thank you very much for hanging on to explain that. That is Grant Howard. He's got a puppet behind him. There you go. Yeah, little cigar. There you go. Are you happy with the answer now?
Yeah.
So do you think the monarchy is a dying institution then?
No, I don't think so. I think the Queen had a wobble around the time of Princess Diana's death. I think the monarchy had a wobble then, but I think...
Not really. I mean, it's just, that wasn't really... I mean, it was a terrible moment, but, grief. When people do things in grief, sometimes we make exceptions, don't we?
Well, no, I think the issue there was that there was a traditional way that the monarchy dealt with death. And to be fair, I think Tony Blair gave some advice to the Queen to say, well, actually, what the people want to do, they want to see you, Your Majesty. And she came out, and I think from then it was just up and up and up. and the celebrations we had this year, and obviously until she died, showed how much the country's in love with the monarchy. I think the monarchy is as popular now as it ever has been.
I think so. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I think so. And we see them on their walkabouts now, which I love, you know, really interacting with the public. Everyone's there shaking hands, wants to say hi to them, don't they? So I think they're extremely popular, and yeah, I think we really need them right now.
I think we do, and of course this year we've mourned the passing of the late Queen Elizabeth II. The royal family have posted a video of her very first speech back on Christmas Day in 1957. Let's have a listen.
25 years ago, my grandfather broadcast the first of these Christmas messages. Today is another landmark, because television has made it possible for many of you to see me in your homes on Christmas Day. My own family often gather round to watch television, as they are at this moment, and that is how I imagine you now. I very much hope that this new medium will make my Christmas message more personal and direct. I hope that 1958 may bring you God's blessing and all the things you long for. And so I wish you all, young and old, wherever you may be, all the fun and enjoyment and the peace of a very happy Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as ever, this show is nothing without you and your views. Let's welcome our great British voices. This is their opportunity to be on the show and tell us what they think about the topics we're discussing. Where should we head to? Should we go to Bedfordshire and have a chat with Julie? Hello, Julie. How are you, Julie? Merry Christmas.
Nana. How are you?
Yes, good, thank you. Merry Christmas. You're looking very well.
Thank you, and you?
Yeah, good, good. So what do you think then? What are you doing with your Christmas day today then? What's happening?
It has been pretty traditional. So the other half has cooked a fantastic Christmas dinner. So very much thank you to him. And as soon as I finish with you, I will be opening the wine.
Yeah, we didn't just start. You haven't started it yet. It's very sensible. It's probably stayed
Not
so
yet,
dark.
no.
Up till now. Well done. Good for you. Now, what's your take? Did you hear King Charles's speech? And any thoughts on your views on the monarchy?
Yeah, I always listen to the Queen's speech anyway. So I think today was much more poignant. It was a complete turn in history. We've never had a king give a Christmas speech before. And I really felt it was personal for him. Yes, like you say, I'm sure he does have people that assist him with writing it, but I think that's more for guidance of not saying the wrong thing. But to me, this really felt personal, and it was coming across to me like it was very much heartfelt rather than what he thought the public wanted to hear. So I was really pleased with the way it went across, and I'm glad that he was so open about different religions, people that didn't have religion. And as your previous guest, Grant, alluded to, the place that they've got at Highgrove where people can go and you know, if they haven't got any religion at all or any type of religion, they can go and worship. And I just think that really says everything about King Charles, to be honest.
Yeah, it does. Well, listen, Julie, it's really great to talk to you. Thank you so much for being a voice this Christmas, and have a wonderful few drinks on me. Take care, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Happy Christmas. That is Julie there in Bedfordshire. She's our great British voice, and now it's time for some of your Christmas pictures. Robert and his partner are having a very Nana Christmas. Oh, look, I'm on there. There's a picture of Robert. I'm on there. Oh, that's what it is. Oh, thank you. Stuart has sent us his lovely Christmas tree. I do like a nice Christmas tree. There's everything on there. He's got lights and things. And
yeah,
that's like,
there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all going on there. And David is enjoying his Christmas dinner. There's all the family, David and his family. Happy Christmas to David's family.
Not much food on it.
Yeah, a lot of food. Is there food? There's more drink on that table.
A lot more
There's
drink.
Loads of drink. Got
their priorities right then. No drink on this table, is there?
No, yeah, they drank it all yesterday. Can you believe it? They drank all the drink before Christmas.
Don't know who was doing that yesterday.
Nothing here. Well, keep these pictures coming. We love to hear from you and your thoughts as well. Let's talk this through with my panel. Keith, Prince and Sarah Davison, if you just tuned in there with me. So Christmas, usually when you're not here, what does it consist of? Do you normally have a big meal?
Yeah, loads of Yorkshire puddings, loads of vegetables, no dead animals, obviously. And as much drink as I can consume. Yeah.
Well, you see, you've got a friend here, because Carol, she sent a message in and she said it's not the veggies who are the problem, because we were talking about that earlier.
Exactly.
Saying it's the meat eaters. Ooh, what do we cook? It's them who make the fuss. I'm a vegetarian because I don't like meat or killing animals. I prefer a Yorkshire and veg to anything. There are lots of alternatives available now in the supermarket. She's right there. Yeah, she's on that one. This one here, I like this. Steve says, Merry Christmas, Nana. As for a girlfriend who has announced that she is a vegan and demanding her food be cooked separate, I would announce that the restaurant is closed and she go elsewhere. Being vegan is a nice to be, unlikely to have to be, so she can take it or leave it.
Looks like a long-term relationship there.
The beginning of the first Christmas argument.
A few cracks showing there, aren't it?
Also, you know all about relationships. I mean, a few cracks showing there. I mean, Christmas is a time when people start to sort of look at their partners and start to think, I don't like the look of you. You're a divorce coach. Is this like a real poignant time for people?
There was a study out, that said that Christmas Day afternoon was when most people Googled ever how to leave my partner. So I do think Christmas does put a lot of tension on relationships. It really does. But, if your relationship is solid, then coming together at Christmas is really good and you can have some real quality time. But obviously for those people that there is a rocky foundation, then, anything like this is going to maybe tip it to boiling point, which is why we see huge breakups that come the new year usually.
Is it? Let's have a chat with Sam Dowler, because I think he's around. There he is. It's dark behind him now. It's dark outside. Sam, have you had a few drinks yet or not yet?
No.
Well, if the Christmas party's in it, I remember doing the Christmas party, Sam.
Nana, what goes on at the Christmas party stays at the Christmas party, okay?
That is true. I won't say any more than that. So what's your family doing now, then? Are they all drunk now? Has everybody been drinking now? Has it got a bit merry where you are?
No, well, they're downstairs. I could just hear them singing the 12 Days of Christmas, which sounds rather idyllic. But I think there was some sort of game involved as well. But yeah, they've had their dinner. I just scoffed my various meats and the thing is, I do agree with the whole. I think it's important to maybe have two. I know one of your guests has 4 days a week or something. I think it's 2 days a week of no meat is what we're kind of supposed to do, and it's to do with the climate as well. I mean, like the food, like beef, for example, like cows, for example, contribute. I think it's maybe 30% to global warming gases from their parting. So,
have you ever seen any... Listen, if we consume just vegetables, have you ever sat next to somebody on a cabbage diet? I mean, come on. We would replace the cows with the methane. I just think, it's all this wonderful delusion that, the cows do this. If we do that, listen, we'll be planting more trees that we can eat, but we'll also be creating more soya, which is not great for the environment if we all went vegan. I don't agree. I think it's...
Everything has to be sustainable, and obviously, the amount of beef that is produced is unsustainable. And but then again, I was reading something the other day. This is why technology is so important. That they've discovered that they put some sort of it's like a seaweed into the food of cows. It stops them farting completely, or they fart, and it just comes out it's all about like we were talking about the church before. It's all about evolving, developing, changing, and and making the world a better place because we can do it. We can do it. We just have to not be greedy, and I think that is something that everybody can, attune to at Christmas time, for example.
Well, we can do it, but we don't have to be greedy about it. Thank you, Sam. We'll see you shortly. This is GB News. I'm Nana Akua. We're live here on TV, online, and on digital radio. More to come in the next hour.
Looking ahead to this evening's weather, and the UK is looking drier for southeastern areas, but elsewhere a band of rain will be moving southwards. Let's take a look at the details. There will be a mix of clear spells and showers across the southwest this Christmas evening. It will still be fairly mild though, with temperatures around 9 to 11 Celsius. The afternoon rain across the southeast will be clearing this evening, allowing some clear spells to develop. Temperatures here will be around 10 Celsius. Much of Wales will start Christmas evening dry, but showers will begin to spread in from the west, and these will be accompanied by a strengthening wind. The Midlands, however, will remain dry throughout Christmas evening, skies also becoming largely clear for a time, before cloud returns to western areas later. Despite the clear spells, temperatures will hold up around 9 Celsius. Parts of Yorkshire will also hang on to the dry weather, but elsewhere across northern England it will become showery. The showers will be heavy at times with the risk of some thunder. Scotland will also see a mix of rain or blustery showers, with some of the showers in the north turning wintry, giving potentially some here a white Christmas. Rain across Northern Ireland will start to clear during the evening, with a clearer and colder weather following behind. Later on in the evening, we may start to see some icy patches begin to form. Overnight, the band of rain will continue to move south, with wintry showers across Scotland and perhaps later across Northern Ireland. And that is how the weather is shaping up overnight into tomorrow morning.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
Here on GB News Live, we'll be keeping you in the picture, finding out what's happening across the country and finding out why it matters to you. We'll have the facts fast with our team of reporters and specialist correspondents. Wherever it's happening, we'll be there from 12 noon on TV, radio and online. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Dubes & Co. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Dubes & Co.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store. You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing! You see, amazing!
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome. It's just gone 5 o'clock. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. And for the next hour, me and my panel will be talking about some of the big topics that are hitting the headlines of this hour. This show is all about opinion. It's mine, it's theirs, and of course it's yours. We'll be debating, discussing, and at times we will disagree, but no one will be cancelled. So joining me today, it's Keith Prince and also Sarah Davidson. And of course, at home, Sam Dowler is also joining us live. But before we get started, let's get your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. It's 1 minute past 5. I'm Tatiana Sanchez in the GB newsroom. The King has used his Christmas broadcast to praise individuals, charities and faith groups supporting those in need. In the historic first speech, the King also sympathised with households struggling with the cost of living crisis, speaking about the great anxiety and hardship people are facing. He highlighted the selfless dedication of the armed forces and emergency services, calling it a value embodied by the late Queen. Earlier, he attended the royal family's traditional Christmas Day church service in Sandringham. The King and the Queen Consort were joined by the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children. A 26-year-old woman who was killed in a pub in Merseyside on Christmas Eve was not thought to be targeted. She was celebrating Christmas with friends and family when she was shot and killed. She was taken to hospital where she died from her injuries. 4 men were also taken to hospital with gunshot wounds after the incident. Merseyside police are urging anyone with information to come forward.
Now is the time for our communities to come together with us to show that the use of guns on our streets will not be tolerated. Our thoughts and condolences are very much with the family of the victim. Today, they should have been celebrating the joy of Christmas. Instead, they're trying to come to terms with what has happened and come to terms with the loss of a much-loved daughter and sister.
The Archbishop of Canterbury has given his Christmas sermon, paying tribute to the late Queen and remembering those who suffer immense anxiety and hardship. Justin Welby said there's unconquerable hope in the birth of Jesus Christ, despite conflicts around the world and the cost of living crisis. He's also praised the example set by the late Queen, saying she lived a life of service and put her interest after those she served. While over 1 million Americans and Canadians are facing Christmas Day without power as a winter storm continues to sweep across the United States. According to reports, weather-related car accidents in the US have left at least 16 dead. Nearly 3,000 flights were cancelled yesterday, with some airports closed altogether. New York's governor has declared a state of emergency. Thousands of people who are planning to travel by train tomorrow are being advised to make alternative plans due to a rail strike. Reduced services are expected on Boxing Day, with some not running at all. It comes as members of the RMT union will walk out again in an ongoing dispute over jobs, pay and conditions. The disruption will also impact airport transfers, including London's Heathrow and Stansted Express. The lack of trains means the AA expects over 15 million cars to be on the UK roads tomorrow. A water firm is urging consumers not to pour turkey fat down the sink as it could block sewage systems. South West Water, which serves almost 1 million households across Devon and Cornwall, says the waste fat could clog pipework when it cools. The company says every year they deal with over 8,000 blocked sewers across the region. The Prince and Princess of Wales have shared a Christmas painting created by Prince George. For those listening to us on the radio, the painting shows a portrait of a reindeer in the snow, along with 2 robins perched on the deer's antlers. The message attached to the picture says, "Merry Christmas." Thousands of people across the UK kicked off their Christmas Day celebrations with a cold water swim. Hundreds of people braved icy cold waters, many of them dressed in Christmas clothing. This was along the coast in Suffolk. And the bagpipes led proceedings at London's Hyde Park, for many also braving a swim this morning on Christmas Day. Well, this is GB News. We'll bring you more news as it happens. Now it's back to Nana.
Good afternoon. Of course, this is GB News. We are the People's Channel. I'm Nana Akua. It is fast approaching 6 minutes after 5 o'clock. Now, King Charles has delivered his first Christmas message. The King paid tribute to the country's armed forces and emergency services, who he said performed so magnificently as the nation mourned the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. And while acknowledging some of the problems that the UK is facing at the moment, King Charles said that he believes that we can find hope for the future.
I'm standing here in this exquisite chapel of St. George at Windsor Castle, so close to where my beloved mother, the late Queen, is laid to rest with my dear father. I am reminded of the deeply touching letters, cards, and messages which so many of you have sent my wife and myself, and I cannot thank you enough for the love and sympathy you have shown our whole family. Christmas is a particularly poignant time for all of us who have lost loved ones. We feel their absence at every familiar turn of the season and remember them in each cherished tradition. In the much-loved carol, O Little Town of Bethlehem, we sing of how in thy dark street shineth the everlasting light. My mother's belief in the power of that light was an essential part of her faith in God, but also her faith in people, and it is one which I share with my whole heart. It is a belief in the extraordinary ability of each person to touch with goodness and compassion the lives of others and to shine a light in the world around them. This is the essence of our community and the very foundation of our society. We see it in the selfless dedication of our armed forces and emergency services, who work tirelessly to keep us all safe, and who perform so magnificently as we mourn the passing of our late Queen. We see it in our health and social care professionals, our teachers, and indeed all those working in public service, whose skill and commitment are at the heart of our communities. And at this time of great anxiety and hardship, be it for those around the world facing conflict, famine, or natural disaster, or for those at home finding ways to pay their bills and keep their families fed and warm, we see it in the humanity of people throughout our nations and the Commonwealth who so readily respond to the plight of others. I particularly want to pay tribute to all those wonderfully kind people who so generously give food or donations, or that most precious commodity of all, their time, to support those around them in greatest need, together with the many charitable organizations which do such extraordinary work in the most difficult circumstances. Our churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, and gurdwaras have once again united in feeding the hungry, providing love and support throughout the year. Such heartfelt solidarity is the most inspiring expression of loving our neighbour as ourselves. The Prince and Princess of Wales recently visited Wales, shining a light on practical examples of this community spirit. Some years ago, I was able to fulfill a lifelong wish to visit Bethlehem and the Church of the Nativity. There I went down into the chapel of the manger and stood in silent reverence by the silver star that is inlaid on the floor and marks the place of our Lord Jesus Christ's birth. It meant more to me than I can possibly express to stand on that spot where, as the Bible tells us, the light that has come into the world was born. While Christmas is, of course, a Christian celebration, the power of light overcoming darkness is celebrated across the boundaries of faith and belief. So whatever faith you have or whether you have none, it is in this life-giving light and with the true humility that lies in our service to others that I believe we can find hope for the future. Let us therefore celebrate it together and cherish it always. With all my heart, I wish each of you a Christmas of peace, happiness, and everlasting light.
That was absolutely beautiful, wasn't it? Let's get some reaction to the speech with GB News' royal reporter, Cameron Walker.
Well, it was King Charles III's first Christmas message as monarch. In fact, it's the first televised speech that a king has done in the United Kingdom. His Majesty's grandfather and great-grandfather, King George V and King George VI, both broadcast Christmas messages, but it was on the radio rather than television. I think it's particularly significant that the King chose St George's Chapel to deliver his first Christmas message, because it was literally just metres away from the final resting place of his mother, the late Queen Elizabeth II, and his speech very much paid tribute to the life and service of his mother. He thanked the public for their love and support and sympathy during the national mourning period. He said he cannot thank you, as in the public, enough for the love and sympathy. He also spoke of the late Queen's everlasting light and the Queen's faith in God and in her people. And the King referred to the fact that perhaps, or at least he gave a nod to the fact that he very much wanted to continue his mother's work and her service to this country, the United Kingdom. His Majesty also paid tribute to the armed forces and emergency service workers who had worked over the period of the Queen's death, but also in the months since. I think it was particularly significant he referred to specifically the public sector workers, including teachers and emergency services, although, as I've already mentioned, because in the last month there have been public service strikes. Nurses have gone on strikes, train drivers have gone on strikes, even ambulance drivers have as well. Now, the King did not officially specifically refer to the strikes. He remained very much impartial, but he did give a slight nod to the work and the service that the public sector provide. He also referred to the cost of living crisis affecting many in Great Britain, but he paid tributes to communities who have really supported those in need. And he didn't refer to this, but we understand that His Majesty has made a private donation to a fuel poverty charity over Christmas who are helping those struggling to pay their fuel bills over these cold winter months. Now, the King is head of state, he's head of the Church of England, and obviously Christmas is very much a Christian celebration. But the King was conscious and aware that he is head of a state which includes and welcomes many faiths. So the King referred to Christianity, clearly, and it was recorded in a church, but he also referred to synagogues, he referred to mosques, temples, gurdwaras. He wanted to include all religions in the message of Christmas, and that's one of compassion, kindness and love and inclusivity to some extent as well. And I think that theme of a multi-faith king is something we're going to see going forward throughout His Majesty the King's reign. There was no mention of Harry and Meghan. Funnily enough, he did mention the Prince and Princess of Wales, but I think it was perhaps wise that he didn't mention Harry and Meghan, because if he did, I suspect all of the headlines would be about them. But the overriding theme was that of selfless dedication, specifically referring to his mother, the late Queen Elizabeth II. But I think, again, it's a theme we're very much going to see him carry on as we get closer to his coronation and then beyond, as we continue with the reign of King Charles III.
That is GB News' royal correspondent, Cameron Walker. Welcome to you. It's Christmas Day here on GB News with me, Nana Akua. And for the next hour, me and my panel will be analysing the messages from His Majesty's the King's first Christmas address, and we'll have a Christmas cracker of a debate. This show is all about opinion. It's mine, it's theirs, and of course it's yours. We'll be debating, discussing, and at times we will disagree, but no one will be cancelled. So joining me today, it's London Assembly member Keith Prince, and also author Sarah Davidson, and broadcaster Sam Dowler, who will be with us throughout the show. And it is, of course, Christmas, so there's still loads to come. Author and divorce expert Sarah Davidson is here to break up, she's a breakup expert, to explain why Christmas is the breaking point for many relationships and why the first Monday in January is D-Day, as in divorce. And this festive period is not just a celebration for Christians, but also for the Jewish community who celebrate Hanukkah. I'll be joined at 5:35 by Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Roman to discuss the meaning of this special time in the Jewish calendar. I'll also be joined by some of our amazing Great British voices who will be sharing what they're up to this Christmas Day. And we'd love to hear from you as ever. Please send me all your stories, photos and everything of your Christmas Day. Email gbviews@gbnews.uk or tweet me at gbnews. So on the way, we've got our Great British debate. We'll be discussing so much more, all about Christmas. But first, let's get some weather for you.
Looking ahead to this evening's weather, and the UK is looking drier for southeastern areas, but elsewhere a band of rain will be moving southwards. Let's take a look at the details. There will be a mix of clear spells and showers across the southwest this Christmas evening. It will still be fairly mild though, with temperatures around 9 to 11 Celsius. The afternoon rain across the southeast will be clearing this evening, allowing some clear spells to develop. Temperatures here will be around 10 Celsius. Much of Wales will start Christmas evening dry, but showers will begin to spread in from the west, and these will be accompanied by a strengthening wind. The Midlands, however, will remain dry throughout Christmas evening, skies also becoming largely clear for a time, before cloud returns to western areas later. Despite the clear spells, temperatures will hold up around 9 Celsius. Parts of Yorkshire will also hang on to the dry weather, but elsewhere across northern England it will become showery. The showers will be heavy at times, with the risk of some thunder. Scotland will also see a mix of rain or blustery showers, with some of the showers in the north turning wintry, giving potentially some here a white Christmas. Rain across Northern Ireland will start to clear during the evening, with a clearer and colder weather following behind. Later on in the evening, we may start to see some icy patches begin to form. Overnight, the band of rain will continue to move south, with wintry showers across Scotland and perhaps later across Northern Ireland. And that is how the weather is shaping up overnight into tomorrow morning.
I'm Mark Dolan. Join me at 11 on GB News for Headliners, in which I'll be joined by two of the UK's top comedians discussing tomorrow's papers.
If it's an important story, we'll cover it, but we'll have some fun along the way. Headliners, the late-night paper review that won't send you to sleep like the others will. 7 nights a week at 11 p.m. on GB News.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Deebs & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates. Do you not believe in prison?
I don't believe in prisons.
I'm completely stunned. I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton Tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Lawrence Fox, on GB News. Frank, fun, fearless, and sometimes serious. Much as I love a Friday night punch-up, what I really want is a battle of ideas. I want to look at things differently. I want to hear different voices and engage with your unique experiences. Every Friday at 7 p.m. on GB News.
Hello, I'm Esther McVeigh.
And I'm Philip Davis.
Whether you're watching or listening on TV, online or on radio, we handpick the latest stories, debates and expert opinions for your weekend. So whether that's politics, news or showbiz, we've got it covered.
Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on GB News.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
So it's just coming up to 25 minutes after 5 o'clock. If you've just joined me, welcome on board. We are the People's Channel. This is GB News. I'm Nana Akua. Happy Christmas. Now, I hate to put a bit of a downer on Christmas Day, but as well as being the most wonderful time of the year, it's also the time at which everyone's sort of stuck at home for long periods of time, maybe sometimes with those that they'd rather not be stuck with. Perhaps that's why January is known as the divorce month, with Divorce Day said to fall on the first Monday of the year. That'll be the 2nd of 2023. Joining me live is Sarah Davidson. She's a divorce coach and she's also a best-selling author. Sarah, that's not Sarah, that's Keith, actually. I didn't introduce him. But yeah, Keith Prince is also joining me live as well. Now Keith, Sarah,
Yes.
Divorce coach. Talk to me. Why are you a divorce coach? Because I mean, it's sort of a sad, sort of depressing thing to be, but then I suppose it can be uplifting. But why? What's the inspiration?
Well, I went through a really tough divorce myself about 12 years ago. Didn't see it coming. Really? Hit me like a freight train, left me doing all that ugly crying on the bathroom floor. And at that point, I was already a coach, a business coach, a life coach. And I thought, I had no idea it was going to be this hard. You know, I'd just seen people go through divorces, didn't realise the real pain and trauma that can come with it, especially if you don't see it or you've been betrayed.
You really didn't see it coming at all?
No. I mean, with hindsight, that's a wonderful thing. I can see there's definitely some red flags along the way.
What were the red flags if you look back?
Well, my ex started to go out a lot more without me, passcodes on phones, really just pulling away as well. I think you sort of notice if someone's not into you anymore, right? They start, there's sort of a distance and the way they connect with you is different. So, yeah, I mean, looking back, I was just thinking, oh, well, everyone's busy, people are tired, have had busy days, we work together as well. So there's a lot of pressures on that relationship anyway. So, yeah,
So how did you find out about it?
You always go for that. Well, it's in my book, actually. I actually found in my bedside table, a contact lens box. I don't wear contact lenses, and a false eyelash.
Oh, that's not good, is it?
No, I'd been away, came back from a trip away for work. I opened my bedside table looking for my lip balm to go to the gym, just to sort of get ready, and I was like, hang on. I then phoned the lady that helped care for my son, because he was only little, he was only 1 at the time. She said, do you wear contact lenses? She was like, sorry, no. And just, yeah, it was pretty obvious from there.
So you realised there, and what did you say? Did you just confront him and just...
No, I went very quiet, actually. And actually, that's the denial stage, where often people will go so thinking, I don't want to talk about it because it makes it more real, and this can't be happening to me, it doesn't make sense, I must have this wrong. But I didn't have it wrong, so...
So what did you do? Did you actually confront him and ask him, or did he confess? What was the...
No, he didn't. It was difficult. He was away, so then I just went to find somebody who'd been through it, one of my friends, and she said, you need to get some legal advice, which is what I did, and then they sort of helped me steer through it from there. But there were a lot of things I did wrong in that process. You know, I did a lot of things that didn't work very well, was very expensive, emotionally very draining, and I kind of decided to combine my coaching skills with the divorce process to see if I could put a programme together for me, because my son was only 1, I was devastated. I worked with my ex, so I guess my whole life was just changed overnight. And he was madly in love, moving on. You know, he started a new family very quickly within the year. So it was tough for me to see that.
He's already got on with it straight away.
Yeah, he was madly in love, and so it was really hard. And yeah, I'm sure there's lots of people who can resonate with that. But yeah, I decided there's a choice. We all have a choice. You know, I either let this destroy me, or I find a way to get through this for me and my son. And that's what I did. I tried and tested loads of different tools and techniques from my coaching experience to see if it could get me through. And then it was my lawyer who actually said, you should write a book, Sarah, because what you've done is, yeah, it's quite impressive given how hard it has been. So that's what I did. And then since then, it's sort of taken off, because I just think it's crazy, right? If you've got a problem, say you're an addict and you've got a problem with alcohol, there's AA, or that, you know, you want to lose weight, there's Weight Watchers, but there's nothing for heartbreak, yet everyone on the planet goes through it at least once if you're lucky in a lifetime. So I really decided to put programmes together to help people going through any kind of heartbreak, separation, and that's what I do. And I know people think it's a really depressing job, but it's actually the most rewarding job.
I think, you know, like if a relationship ends, as one door shuts, another chapter begins. And I'm like, shut that door, move on. I mean, the thing is, I think because I'm single and I really enjoy being single, I think for me, as I've got older, I can shut that door a lot faster and move on even quicker. Literally, the next few minutes, I'm like, yeah, all right. Oh, yeah, go out. And I literally, and it's not that I don't have feelings for people. It's just that, yeah, there's always other stuff going on. Keith, what about you? Have you divorced, or have you been through divorce?
Yeah, I've done everything, actually, yeah. The worst one was my children's mother. She thought I was having an affair, and she never told me.
Well, she never told you that she thought you were...
No, and we broke up, and then 30 years later, she said, well, you had sex with so-and-so. I went, what? What are you talking about? And she said, if you'd admitted to having had sex with this person, I'd have forgiven you. And I'm going, well, I'm not going to admit to something I haven't done.
Well, do you know, but already that smacks of bad communication right there.
Yeah, I think there's an issue with communication, clearly.
It's a small issue there.
You reckon? Really?
Have you worked on it since?
No.
Well, listen, because Sam Dallas also joining us as well. Sam, what about you then? I mean, have you been divorced? Have you ever been married, Sam?
No, but I want to commend both of your guests. I mean, first of all, like Keith said, communication is the key, obviously, and that is just gutting to find out that that's why she split up with you when you weren't even having an affair to begin with. But also, I mean, heartbreak is one of the worst feelings of all. Like it's all consuming, and yeah. I had I had a really bad breakup once, and I did the cardinal sin of looking through his phone. Never, ever a good idea. And I found a text from somebody that I didn't recognise the name, and it was like, yeah, still with Sam, looking for a way out. And you're like,
ouch. Yeah.
It's not funny, Sam, sorry.
And you confront and you try and get to explain. How do you explain yourself? How do you explain your way out of that one? But again, it's to do with like with your guests. It's to do with having an affair is cowardice. You know what I mean? Like I have a relationship now. I had a relationship, and and both of us said to each other, like, I would break up with you before I would cheat on you. Do you know what I mean? Because it's to do with respect and going behind somebody's back and as with your guest, like sleeping in her bed and I mean it's a disgrace. And I hope she bloody took him to the cleaners.
Yes, well, apologies for any language. Thank you very much, Sam. Stay right there. But let's have a quick look at what you've been saying. Gwen says, hi, Nana. I thought that the picture Prince George has done is really good because we're chatting about that because it's a fabulous picture. It's like a little reindeer with some robins. Let's not forget that Prince Philip and the King can paint as well. I remember watching a documentary about the Duchy of Cornwall and the Prince of Wales, and he was then used to paint watercolours as Christmas cards to his tenants, so it runs in the family. You might be right there, actually, to be fair. And I don't think they'd say he did it if he hadn't. Marion says, hey, Nana, spot on with your monologue. Earlier I did a monologue. Keep saying it like it is. I'm 83 and have lived through some tough times. I never have been so worried for my country. And Paul says, I personally could never go vegan. We're talking about veganism. A great show again, Nana, and a fantastic Christmas speech. Merry Christmas to you and the team. Thank you so much to you. Well, listen, stay with me. You're with me. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News on TV, online and on digital radio. On the way, we'll continue with our great British debate this hour. And I'm asking, is your partner annoying you this Christmas ahead of January's divorce day? But first, let's get your latest news headlines.
Nana, thank you. This is the latest from the GB Newsroom. The King has issued his Christmas broadcast to praise individuals, charities and faith groups supporting those in need. In the historic first address, the King also sympathised with households struggling with the cost of living crisis, speaking about the great anxiety and hardship people are facing. The King highlighted the selfless dedication of the armed forces and emergency services, calling it a value embodied by the late Queen. Earlier, he attended the royal family's traditional Christmas Day church service in Sandringham. The King and the Queen Consort were joined by the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children. A 26-year-old woman who was killed in a pub in Merseyside on Christmas Eve was not thought to be targeted. She was celebrating Christmas with friends and family when she was shot and killed. She was taken to hospital where she died from her injuries. 4 men were also taken to hospital with gunshot wounds after the incident. One is in a critical condition. Merseyside police are urging anyone with information to come forward.
Now is the time for our communities to come together with us to show that the use of guns on our streets will not be tolerated. Our thoughts and condolences are very much with the family of the victim. Today, they should have been celebrating the joy of Christmas. Instead, they're trying to come to terms with what has happened and come to terms with the loss of a much-loved daughter and sister.
The Prince and Princess of Wales have shared a festive picture painted by Prince George. For those listening to us on the radio, the painting shows a portrait of a reindeer in the snow with a sky blue background alongside 2 robins. The message attached to the picture says Merry Christmas. TV, online and DAB+ radio. This is GB News.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates.
Do you not believe in prison? I don't believe in prison.
I'm completely stunned. I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Hello, I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m, where I'll be joined by two of the country's top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News Headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
Good afternoon. This is GB News. We are the People's Channel. Don't forget you can download the GB News app. I'm Nana Akua and it's fast approaching 39 minutes after 5 o'clock. Now, some of you at home may be celebrating the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. And tonight marks the 7th night of Hanukkah, which will end tomorrow on Boxing Day. And many will think of the 9 candles of the menorah around the time. But what is Hanukkah? And why is it celebrated? Joining me now live is Dr. Rabbi Jonathan Romain. Dr. Rabbi. Merry Christmas, first of all, or Happy Hanukkah to you. Now, first of all, talk us through what happens during Hanukkah, because it's spread over a period of time, and a lot of people probably don't really understand what you do each day and what the significance is of those days.
Well, it's actually a very happy festival, and if you're ever invited to celebrate Hanukkah with a Jewish friend, then do accept that it's great fun. Well, I have to say, there's a sort of sober theme underneath. It's to do with a struggle for religious freedom, the time just after Alexander the Great, when the Syrian forces were in charge of the land of Israel. That was okay, but when they started repressing Jewish life, at that point there was a religious revolt. And the significance was that it was a very small group of Jews, they were known as the Maccabees, who took on the might of the Syrian army, the sort of equivalent of, modern-day Taiwan taking on China. So that sort of odds, and yet despite that, I suppose because they were motivated by a sense of religious identity, they won. And we're talking about 167 BC, so before Christmas. So despite that sober theme, it's a fun festival celebrating what happened and the fact that Jews are still here today, and which is why I'm talking to you. And as you say, it lasts for 8 days, and I've got the special candelabra here.
Yeah.
And you can see sort of eight candles, and on each night we light 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and we build up to a crescendo of the fully lit candelabra on the last night. It's a home festival very much, to do with family, to do with food, often present giving, and always around about this time of year. And something to be enjoyed.
And is it a bit like Christmas in the sense that you give presents and things like that, or and is there fasting involved?
No fasting, no. It's a good time. And I mean, it is similar to Christmas on the external level, you know, home, food, family, presents. But underneath, of course, it's a story, well, a religious story, but not about the birth of one child, one individual. Hanukkah's about a national story and standing up for religious identity when it's under threat. The interesting thing is that Christmas has influenced Hanukkah a little bit in that until about 100 years ago, we didn't give presents at Hanukkah. It was another festival called Purim. And then sort of under the influence of Christmas, people have said, well, you know, everyone else is having presents, why don't we? So we do give presents now, and Jewish children are quite good at and enjoy Hanukkah as a result. And in fact, just to give you a story about how this sort of interfaith age operates, every year I, someone Jewish, send a Sikh friend in Maidenhead, which is where we live, a Christmas card. So here's a Jew and a Sikh communicating with well wishes through Christmas. So it's a very much a time of we're all celebrating together, and the similar themes of sort of light and warmth and hope, and the hope that the coming year will be a better year than the previous one.
What's your take on, you know how, say, for example, some places you're not allowed to say Christmas now, or you're not allowed, so just in case you offend people of other faiths by using, well, what's your take on all of that? I mean, do you ever feel offended if someone uses the word Christmas, or, you know, do you think that we're going too far with all of this?
Absolutely. I mean, people who want to call Christmas the winter festival are just bonkers, as far as I'm concerned. It's Christmas. I don't mind Christians being Christian. I mean, and why should they mind me being Jewish? It seems utterly ridiculous to deny reality. Whether you celebrate it or you believe it, that's a different matter. But to sort of pretend it doesn't exist, you know, this may no longer be a fully Christian country, as we know from the later census, where only 46% actually call themselves Christian, but we're certainly embedded in Christian culture. And there's no problem with that, or I don't have a problem with that. And we just need to look at our institutions or our schools or our architecture. Christianity was very formative. And actually, one of the great things about the Church of England in this country is it's being very open and very inclusive. And it's allowed other faiths to flourish. It's pioneered interfaith relations. And we heard that this afternoon with the King's speech. I mean, he mentioned not just churches, but he went out of his way to name synagogues, mosques, gurdwaras, temples. And he very much said, I think, nailed his interfaith colours to the mast right at the beginning and say, look, I may have the title of defender of the faith, Church of England, but in reality, I'm going to be defender of faith. And of course, those people have no faith at all. So I thought that was a great speech and really set the tone for his reign.
Yeah, I think we'll all agree with that, Dr. Rabbi Jonathan Romain. Thank you so much for joining me, and Happy Hanukkah and Merry Christmas. Lovely to talk to you. Well, of course, this show is nothing without you and your views. So is it time? Shall we welcome our great British voices, your opportunity to be on the show and tell us what you think about the topics that we're discussing. Dr. Seshni Mudia is there in Milton Keynes. She's on the line now. Oh, look at that. Merry Christmas.
Hi.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Wow. So who have you got there, Seshni? These are your kids, I presume?
No, mine are grown up and shy, but these lovely nieces, they want to say their names, and Merry Christmas to you. What's your name?
Yeah, say your name.
Say your name. Alana Rensberg. Say Merry Christmas, Nana.
Okay, bye.
And Aislinn. Aislinn.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Nana and all at GB News. Thank you so much.
Hello. Merry Christmas, Nana. It's Flo.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Who's that on the end? Is she just slightly out of shot? Hello.
That's me.
That's Flo.
Well, Merry Christmas to you all. And what are you doing this Christmas then? Have you opened all the presents and done everything?
We haven't finished open presents. We're going to open presents with these lovely nieces soon. So we spent the day in Milton Keynes having Christmas, and now we're spending it with Ferdinand's brother Heinrich and his family. So we're having Christmas in Essex now, near Southend. So we're just enjoying the day, feasting, eating, opening presents. And I think, Nana, it's more just about being together, being with family and friends. And we had a celebration for my friend, Dr. Raju. It was his birthday, so we celebrated his birthday in Milton Keynes with my family. And Flo, do you want to say anything?
No, it's just a family gathering actually, getting together, everyone, and we're just having a small get together actually.
Yeah. But it's been a lovely Christmas. How has your Christmas been, Nana?
It's good.
Merry
We've
Christmas
been here
to you.
all day with my wonderful panel, Keith and Sarah. We've had some fun. Sejni, oh, look at that. I love it. Sejni,
And
Merry
you look
Christmas. Merry
amazing,
Christmas to
Nana.
you.
You look absolutely stunning.
Thank you, darling. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thank you so much for joining us and taking time out to talk to us. That is Sejni Muglia-Rensburg and her family. At Christmas time, she's one of our great British voices. Right, let's have a final look at some of your Christmas pictures. Today, one of our great British voices, Jonathan Jones of Tregotham Tea, has tended to a very special Christmas-themed crop of tea. Rachel also... where's the picture gone? We've got no pictures. Rachel also sent us a picture of her dog hiding out in a Christmas tree. And Francis sent us a picture of his absolute whopper. Oh, there we go. What's this one? This must be some sort of tea or something. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? What is it? What have we got in there? Is that a dog or something? What's in there? Is it... What am I looking at?
I think you said dog.
No, I was looking at it. It looks like a dog. And all the great Christmas pictures and messages that you sent us. Right.
It is a dog.
Well, it is a little
Chihuahua.
dog. It's a little dog.
Chihuahua.
Chihuahua, some sort of dog. I
like
think I need
that.
glasses. If you're listening on radio, sorry, that was unhelpful. Right. But let's play a little game.
Making a difference. Couldn't see it
This
anyway.
game is called Are You a Know-It-L? And in it, I asked my panellists who said the following.
Oh, no.
OK, so Keith, will you press your buzzer, please? Very good. And Sarah, your buzzer, please, as well. Now, just to remind you that you do not answer... If you answer the question, you must make sure that you don't press the buzzer. Make sure you press the buzzer before you answer. Otherwise, you'll be disqualified. And as ever, please play along at home. I need to play along. And we'll see what score you get. Get the whole family involved on this. All right, here we go. So, a Know-It-L. Let's see. I've got it all ready. Right. Question 1. Are you ready? Right. Here's the first quote. I'm going to give you a quote. You've got to work out who said it. Heart-pounding, throat-thickening, absolutely can't swallow, all the usual symptoms. Was it Chris Whitty talking about COVID symptoms or Iris Simpkins in The Holiday?
That was me.
Sarah.
Iris Simpkins in The Holiday.
It's true, but didn't we have these ones yesterday? Somebody's given me the same questions as yesterday. It's yesterday's
Wish
question.
I was watching yesterday then.
Yeah. Yesterday's questions. Let's do it. Well done. I'll give you 1 point for that. And
Thank you.
But Sam, sorry about Sam's at home as well. All right, Sam Dowler's also playing. Sam, let me see you. Where's Sam Dowler? Right, what's your buzzer?
Hi.
Well, what's your noise?
Yeah, what's your noise?
What's your noise? You haven't got a buzzer. You have to make a... Excellent. All right, we'll keep Sam up there and we'll try and get a one box that does 3 in it. Right. OK, this is your next one. OK, next quote. Let the naysayers put that in their pipe and smoke it. I'd be lying if I didn't say I enjoyed my moment. Was it Matt Hancock in his pandemic diaries or Hans Gruber in Die Hard? Keith.
Well, it should have been Matt Hancock.
But who was it?
I don't know, say Matt Hancock.
You're saying Matt Hancock? Or do you think
Yeah, why not?
Who do you think it is, Sarah?
Matt Hancock.
And Sam, who do you think it is?
I think it's Hans Gruber.
Well, you're right, Keith. It is actually Matt Hancock
Yeah,
celebrating obtaining 120,000 COVID tests in the UK.
Yeah.
Right, let's see. Next on, we've got... What have we got? Oh, yes, this is a good one. This is a good one. OK. So your next quote. Well, let's see how many more times you... us all over. There is a price for everything. Was it Gavin Williamson texting his colleague or Bad Santa reprimanding his elves? You're too late for that one, yourself. I'll go with, I think it was Keith.
Yeah, it should have been Gavin, but I think it was Santa.
Was it Santa? Was it Gavin? What do you think it was?
Santa.
It was actually Gavin Williamson to colleague Wendy Moulton, whom he blamed after he wasn't invited to the Queen's funeral. Bad Santa tended to insult people to their face, not behind their back. All right, the next quote. A man doesn't get in a situation like this every day. Was it Neil Parish, the Tory MP, defending himself after he was caught watching porn in the Commons? Or was it George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life?
Oh,
press your buzzers, somebody. Sarah.
George Bailey in A Wonderful Life.
Any advances, Sam? What do you think it is?
No, I think it was the MP.
I'm actually in the I'm actually where he's from, down in Devon, where and the local people are were not impressed. Let
No,
me
I
tell
don't
you.
suppose they were. No, I don't suppose they were.
I'm sure it was a difficult position to be put into, but he put himself into it.
He did, didn't he, really?
Indeed.
He was looking at tractors, though. He was looking for tractors. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
Well, the answer was actually...
Aren't we all, Nana?
Yeah, we are, aren't we? Well, the answer was actually George Bailey. Apologies to It's a Wonderful Lives fans. OK.
Yeah.
Question 9. OK. Question 9. We're all in this together. This is a full-blown 4-army holiday emergency. Was it Mark Drakeford announcing a fire-break Christmas lockdown for Wales? Remember Mad Mark's mask? Mark Drakeford. Or was it Clark Griswold from the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? Yes, Sam Dowler.
It was Clark Griswold from National Lampoon's Holiday Vacation, I think.
You're absolutely spot on. It was indeed Clark Griswold from the... Well done, very good. 1 point to Sam. Hopefully somebody's totting up the points here.
Who cares? It's Christmas.
It's Christmas, right. Final question, question 10.
Taking part.
Christmas may not be important to some people, but it is very important to the rest of us. This is a quote. But was it the quote from Mark Harper, the Transport Secretary, in a warning to the rail strikers, or was it the conductor from the Polar Express? Keith Prince.
Polar Express conductor. Great film.
It was actually the Polar Express conductor. Very good. How do you know that?
I watched the
Tom
film.
Hanks.
It was, Tom Hanks, great film. So what's the scores on the doors? That was, of course, the Christmas quiz. What is the score on the doors? The winner of this quiz, how many did you get?
I know.
It doesn't know. Nobody's counting.
Yeah, who's counting? It's Christmas.
It's a festive draw.
It's not the winning, it's the taking part.
It's the winning, it's not the winning, it's taking part. Well, listen, it's been...
Christmas Day, chaos.
Yeah, I know it is. Well, I don't know what the score is. I think Keith probably won that on balance. Hopefully at home, this is probably going just as well as your competitions and your games at home as you watch now and listen. Sam Dowler, well, listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Sam. Have you enjoyed your day?
I have indeed. Everybody has waited very kindly for me until they to open presents. So we're going to do that as soon as I'm finished with you, Nana.
Well, listen, that's wonderful, Sam. You've been a star. You can go and start drinking now properly. Although you've probably been drinking throughout. Because I've seen you when you've had a few. Thank you so much to the fabulous Sam Dowler for joining us live at home. Thank you and Merry Christmas to you. Lovely to see you and lovely to talk to you. And a huge thank you to you, Keith Prince.
Pleasure.
Keith Prince, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining me on Christmas Day. So what are you going to do tonight? Anything exciting?
I'm going to eat lots of food and get drunk.
You look hungry. You need to eat some more mince pies.
Yeah, I've already had one once pie, but they're a bit stale.
They've been here.
They're okay. They're okay.
And Sarah Davidson, your first ever time on the show. Thank you so much for joining me, actually properly on the panel.
Yeah.
What are your plans for this evening?
I'm going to head home, see my dog. My parents have been looking after her for me today, so I'm going to have a drink with them.
What with the dog?
With all of them, whoever will have me.
Well, listen, thank you so much, Sarah Davidson and also Keith Prince for joining me. And a huge thank you to you at home for your company, as ever. It's been so much fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I will be back, actually, tomorrow, actually. I think I'm doing Jubes & Co, but I'll also be back doing New Year's Eve and, of course, New Year's Day. It's been a pleasure. I hope you're having a fantastic Christmas. Enjoy everything. Have a drink for me, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Happy Christmas.
Looking ahead to this evening's weather, and the UK is looking drier for